Hey, everybody. Let me make sure we live. I need to wake the hell up and get my people on here from Inmate Network. Y'all do me a favor. Y'all wake up if y'all tired because y'all making me sleepy. I can feel the energy. It's all y'all fault. Like this video, share this video, subscribe if you have not, and hit that notification bell, y'all. If you do not want to watch this with all the commercials in between that YouTube will put on it, just check in the comment in the description of this video, not the comment section, but check in the description of this video, you guys, and you can come over to MX Network and watch it. You can get your free subscription and watch these lives while I'm live. So if that's what you want to do, or you can stay over here. I mean, you can watch the commercials. That works too. I'm gonna try not to be in here long tonight, you guys. I would not be dropping no link. I'm gonna just say what I gotta say, and we're gonna call it a night. We're gonna save the drop the links for Saturdays, y'all. I am tired today, and I only got so much I want to say. Hey, shout out to you, Deshaun. Somebody said show. Speaking of Showtime, y'all, I just came from the movies. How many of y'all saw the movie Sinners? Have y'all seen the movie Sinners yet? Who has seen the movie? Who have seen the movie, y'all? Shout out to everybody on MX Network. Hey, Urana. Shout out to Isis over there, and hey to everybody over here on YouTube. And Kimberly in the house. We got Chris in the house. Not yet. Okay. I be me says yes. Jackie said not yet. Somebody said you said not me, don't tell. I won't tell you. I won't tell you. I will tell you this. That movie good as hell, y'all. Go watch the movie. Go watch the movie. You know, I'm not a TV movie watching person, but I was like, let me go to the movies. Let me go to the movies, have me a drink, give me some popcorn, and go watch this movie because Michael B. Jordan was in it. And that man is fine. I just want to say that, okay? That man is fine. Okay, he fine. And the only spoiler I'm gonna give you is two of him in the movie. It's two fine hymns, okay? But the movie good as hell. The movie was good as hell. And if you understand some shit, it's a whole lot of stuff to be said in the movie. It's one of the movies where it definitely is good, but it is saying a whole lot underneath the surface. And so I'll wait. I give y'all some time to watch the shit, and then like a week from now, I'm gonna tell y'all what I thought in the movie. I thought it was really dope. Not only that was interesting, I think that the whole perspective of what they was trying to convey, if it doesn't go over a lot of y'all heads, if people will get it. But it was a good movie. It was a good ass movie. Hell yeah, it was good. Go watch it. I might go watch it again. And I'm not a watch some shit again ass person. I'm not. I can't watch a movie a bunch of times, but I might go see it again. It was good. All right. Somebody said Michael B. Jordan kick ass in movies, honey. It ain't even a kicking ass. He fine, okay? He fine. In his movie, he even finer than I normally thought. And you know, he a little youngin' to me. He a youngin' to me. But in this movie, it was just something about the nigga in this movie. And it's two of him. So I'll leave it at that. It's two Michael B. Jordans in this movie, okay? It's not just one of him. It's two. Two fine of him. Y'all go watch that movie though. It's good, y'all. I promise you would not be disappointed. So anyway, that's what I've been drinking and watching movies at the movie theater. Somebody said I heard his bias on the brother that sold his soul to Papa Legba. I don't know nothing. Ain't no Papa Legba in there. It is some references. This ain't really telling y'all the movie. It's reference. Y'all might not even catch them if you don't fucking know. You don't know. But it is references that have to do with religion, spirituality, racism, oppression, and that Bible. Okay, it does have a lot to do with that. Okay, if y'all catch the references that they're making, if you miss all the references, you will still be very entertained. I promise you. Okay, but hopefully you won't catch the shit they throwing at you and it won't go over your head. It was good as hell. So yeah, with that said, y'all, I am not gonna keep y'all in here all night long. Y'all do me a favor though, like this video, share this video, subscribe if you have not, hit that notification bell, and we're gonna get into a topic tonight, you guys. We will talk about this. I have several things I want to talk about throughout this week, so you're gonna see me live a little bit more this week, and then Saturday. The things that I'm talking about, if you feel you got some stuff you want to say on Saturday, we will re-bring these topics to the table so that you guys can share your opinions as well. Somebody says, is it streaming on platforms? I think it's just at the movie theaters. I don't know. I don't think it's on anything streaming, but I would be lying if I told you no for sure. I just felt like my ass to be in the house all the time. So I was like, girl, get out the house and go to the movies. And I thought I was going by myself because I go a lot of places by myself. But then all my family was like, we going too. So we all went. But I think it's just at the movies. I don't know. It just came out Friday, right? I will tell you this. I caught myself going to the movies this Monday, and I just knew that somebody said just in the theaters. Yes, it just came out. Wasn't it like Friday? All I know is I saw the previews last night. I had heard nothing about this movie till last night. I couldn't sleep. I'm scrolling through, social media like most of us do at 3:00 in the morning. Well, maybe y'all don't, but I do. And I was like, I'm going to the movies. I'm gonna go see this movie. But I will tell you this. I was like, it's Monday. We're gonna get there. I'll call myself going to the early movie. I was like, we're gonna be able to be in the theater. Probably ain't gonna be nobody in there. Why was the movie theater packed on a Monday at 6:15? I'm like, well, why is all these people in here? I swear it was no seats. No seats. No seats. Every last seat was full like it was a Friday night. That's how you know how good this movie is. Because the theater's going to be packed all week like that. I don't give a damn if it's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I went in there thinking, oh, it's a Monday. Nobody's going to be in here. Shit. Everybody named Mama was at the movie theater. I was like, don't these niggas got a job? But then they probably thinking the same thing about us. Like, nigga, don't you got a job? And no, I don't. So that's why I'm here. It's early as hell on a Monday. Why are you here, sir? And all these 300 motherfucking people. It is spring break though, too. Ain't it for some people? I don't know. Y'all know I don't work for nobody and my kids ain't in public school. So I have no idea what the fuck be going on when it comes to schedules and days. I think kids is on spring break. Maybe. I don't know. You tell me, because my kid is at homeschool. Let me see. Shout out to Freedom Over Equality. Shout out to my dope moderator. He always in there doing his job. I think you a he. I think you a he. If you're not a he, then you just the name just sounds masculine. So but it might not be a man. But shout out to you. Somebody said that's a good problem to have. It is. I don't be knowing what the fuck it is, y'all. I don't, that's the funny thing. I don't celebrate holidays. My kids is not in regular school, and because I don't work a regular job, sometimes I don't know what day of the week it is. I will forget. If it's a holiday, I always forget it's a holiday because I don't watch TV either. It's amazing when you cut yourself off from a lot of the world. Shit like that happen a lot. I don't be knowing it's a holiday till somebody tell me it's a holiday or I see something because I'm not watching TV every day. You know what I'm saying? Something got to jog my memory. Sometimes I'm not sure exactly what day of the week it is. And it ain't because I'm old and senile. It's because I just don't have this checker in front of me every day. Like, oh, it's Wednesday. Tomorrow's my off day. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I don't be fucking knowing none of that shit. I'm glad, though. That's the little time frame that the world keep you on. They can have that shit. They can have all of that shit. I like to stay in my nice little, I don't know what's going on in the world, okay? All right, y'all, let me see. I think somebody threw a super chat in there. Shout out to Delaney. Thank you, Delaney. EDU energy in the movie. What do EDU mean? I don't know what that means. See, I told y'all I don't be up on shit. I be in the house. I already told you, Delaney. Why you gonna throw something at me? I don't know what that means. Okay, y'all. How many of y'all? Let me tell you, we will not be talking about Carmelo on this channel no more until it's like some new stuff. Okay, till it's some new stuff. Okay, because I'm tired of the conversation. Like it's the same thing rehashed. It brings out so many emotions in people. Y'all keep saying dumb stuff in my comment sections. And I don't like. Every time I be like, Michi, go get some friends. Go hang out with some people. I read my comment section or I go live. And then I realize why the fuck I don't want no friends. Then I realize why I don't want no friends, right? Because I'm really irritated. People have pet peeves, and mine is just like ignorance. And this shit is beyond me. People just keep making stupid ass videos every day. And so shout out to the lady says ESU. I meant to say, oh, okay, ESU. Okay. I still don't know what you mean, but it was a good movie. Let me see. Your panel be disrespectful sometimes. What do you mean my panel be disrespectful, Fly Girls Manifesting? Thank you for the super chat, Delaney. What you mean they be disrespectful? I mean, people come up here, they give their opinions of what it is that they have to say. I mean, who is it disrespectful to? I feel like the people that are on the panel having a conversation are like the only people that can be disrespectful. Like if you're up here and you're talking to me and I disrespect you, then you can feel disrespected. Or the person that's talking I can feel like they disrespected me. But when you say my panels are disrespectful, I don't know what you mean. Like it's a bunch of people that come up here. Oh, you said disrespectful to you as the host. So I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't say the panels are disrespectful. Okay, I get what you're saying. I don't know. I feel like I'm not a crybaby, so I mean, some shit people say roll off my back. If I feel disrespected, I just cut their ass out. But I would tell you one thing about the panels. It's very draining. I'm surprised I'm back here. It's a Monday. It is Monday, right? Yes, it's Monday. See, I don't even know what day it is. That quick, I be forgetting. Because usually Saturdays go into Sunday morning. We didn't get off that panel until like 6, and I have rituals. I had to go and take my bubble bath and all of that stuff. I went to bed. Call me crazy if you want to. I'm not just going to lay down. I just don't go to sleep like that. And so I ain't go to bed till like almost 8 o'clock in the morning. And this is on Sunday morning. So it take a lot out of me. I will tell you that. I will tell you that. That being on there with people haven't had patience, people be saying dumbass shit in the comment section, just whatever. It is. It's very draining on my energy. It is. My social battery only goes so far because I'm too old for this bullshit. Okay. I don't want to socialize like that. And sometimes I enjoy the panels, but it's a lot. It take a lot out of me. You're absolutely right. I don't know if I feel disrespected, but I just be like, God, that was a lot. That was a lot. It just depends on the people that come on the panel. Sometimes they're really good. Sometimes they're very taxing. I get tired of people cutting each other off all the time, or people who like talk in circles, or who don't make a point, or who say a whole lot. And I'd be like, okay, what the fuck was the point? You said a whole lot of nothing. I still don't know what the fuck you talk about. That kind of shit irritates me. And maybe it don't other people, but me, that shit irritates the fuck out of me. Okay, I just want y'all to know that. Somebody says, do you do tarot cards? I was going to pull my tarot cards for you, but they're not actually here. They're in my room at my altar. Yes, I have tarot cards. I do reads all the time for people who know me because they beg me. They be like, your reads be on point. Do it for me. It's just something I do. I don't really share that gift with people a whole lot. But yes, I do tarot readings. I have several tarot cards, but the stack that the card deck that I use all the time, it's usually in here by my desk, but it's in my room. I have a whole altar in my room. There are plenty of stones on my altar, candles, and a lot of other things. So yeah, absolutely. I have all those things. But can I say this? While y'all like this video, and I'm giving folks a second to get in here, I will answer that question. I want to say this, just like I would say to people in Christianity, like when it comes to spirituality, y'all, you can always tell when somebody's a newbie because they go and they will light their candles, they will go and get all these trinkets, and they feel like this is what manifests the things that they want. Okay, good or bad, they think that this is what's hexing people, putting a juju on somebody. Like this is what they think. But what you really don't understand, because people could be a baby in their spirituality. I don't need my altar. I don't need a fucking stone. I don't need a goddamn candle. I don't need a juke bag. I don't need none of that shit. Although I will use those things, right? But I don't need any of them, because we must understand that the power ultimately that we seek to manifest is really within us. So what people don't get is that when you have candles lit, or when you're using certain things, those are actually just a physical reminder of what you should be focused on spiritually and mentally. Does that make sense? So if I light a 7-day candle, every time I see that candle lit for 7 days straight, unless it burn out faster than that, right? Every time I see that, it's supposed to be a reminder that this is the energy that I'm going to stay focused in. This is what I'm thinking. This is what I'm speaking. This is what I'm putting out into the universe. It is me that is manifesting those things. True enough, there is energy and elements. So fire and all those things are great, but those things are not what's actually making it happen. So it killed me when I watch people who be like, oh, I lit a candle and that candle made everything happen. No, the fuck it didn't. You can manifest whatever you want without a candle. If you can't manifest or live in your spirituality without your trinkets, your altar, your candles, your whatever you use, then you not really as equipped in your spirituality as you think. Just like a Christian, if you can't really walk in your religion or any religion without going to church, if you miss church, does that mean that you can't commune with God? If you don't have a cross up in your house, like what if you find yourself in a situation where you aren't able to go to church? Can you still reach God? Can you still walk in your belief and in your religion and in your higher power, whatever you want to call that? Like, you should be able to walk in that shit buck naked in the middle of the motherfucking desert without a thing. Does that make sense? So I have them things, but I just want to be clear that those things are not what necessarily empowers me. They are physical reminders of what I should be focused on. Okay. So, yes, they are tools, but I am the activator of all of those things that I seek, right? And so as long as I have self and I walk with God in that self, that's really all I ever need, right? But because we're human beings, we use a lot of other things to remind us, and you could definitely attach your energy to objects and to different things. So I'm not saying none of that stuff is what it is, but key factor, like if y'all see the movie, you'll see that too. Somebody was given a bag that's supposed to give them protection, and it has some things in it. So you can definitely put energy into stuff. But again, the key word is you put your energy into that, right? So it still started with you. The shit didn't do nothing by itself. It was the energy you put into it, if that makes sense. All right. So let me see. With that said, you guys, okay, I'm sorry, I was just reading the chat. So with that said, you guys, let's get into this conversation. I will not keep y'all long. I ain't gonna be here long tonight. I don't know how many of you have heard about this because everything has been overshadowed by the Carmelo situation that we have seen, right? And we will not be discussing that unless some major things happen in the case, because I'm tired of talking about it. It's a bunch of what it happened, what this happened, this happened, what you think happened. You don't know the facts. You don't know the facts. He racist, she racist, your mama, your dad. I'm sick of this shit. I'm tired of it coming down my timeline. I really am. I don't want to hear another motherfucking thing about the Carmelo Anthony case. I want us to shut up. I want us to be quiet about it, like we forget niggas that get killed by the police and we say their name for a month and then we don't say their name no more. Stop saying that boy name. Just shut up and just stop saying the boy name. Like, goddamn. Can he move out the algorithms already? Can we stop putting his name? Can we stop getting views off of Carmelo's situation? I'm sick of hearing about it. Because while we're doing that, there's still a lot of shit going on, y'all. How many of y'all know that tariffs are here? They're still very real. Are we still even concerned about that? I thought y'all was worried about us going back into slavery. Has Trump signed any executive orders that we're slaves again? I'm just wondering. Because all I see is Carmelo coming down my motherfucking timeline. I want it to stop. I really do. Okay. I don't know if you guys know, because you've been looking at so much Carmelo shit. Like, we have 10 corrections officers who were just charged with manslaughter, second-degree murder, because they beat an inmate to death in New York once again. Now, just like y'all moved on from Robert Brooks. How many remember Robert Brooks? The man who just a couple of months ago, okay, he was beat to death by a corrections officer. I think it was 9 of them. We all got to see that camera footage, right? It was put out for everyone to see because it was being kind of like covered up. And unless it was forced to be put out, we never would have known it. And we watched them beat that man until he was dead right in front of us. It was like the prison version of how they was beating Rodney King. Said Rodney King lived, but it was one of them things, right? And somebody might say, somebody gonna scream George Floyd, but George Floyd wasn't beat like Robert was beat, right? That's why I equated to a looking at, the way that they beat down other people when we get to see that, because it wasn't a just I'm gonna stand on your neck. They was beating him. They was choking him. Do y'all remember that video? How many of you did? You didn't see it. We're not talking about that anymore though, right? And so I am going to tie this a little bit into the Carmelo situation, because now there is another case out of New York. 10 correction officers this time, one more than Robert Brooks. And this young man was 22 years old, okay? And I'm going to play the news clip for you guys. But before I do that, I want to say something about this situation before you look at the news clip. So the other night, when I was on the panel, or one of these panels, because we've had 3, I think, already talking about Carmelo, there were men that were on my panel, and they were talking about, 2 of them had been to prison. One of the men, he's much older now, but he is clearly institutionalized. And a lot of y'all came in my comment section, and it just brought it back up to me today, because somebody made a couple comments today. Now, both of the comments came from men, okay, men in our communities. And these men, and those of you that have left comments, a couple of y'all was women, but mostly men, and the people that were on the panel that night, y'all seem to be upset with me. And y'all said when I was saying that Carmelo Anthony's life is over. As a 17-year-old, if this boy goes away to prison and he spends 10 years in prison and comes home at what, 27, damn near 30 years old, he's going to be very institutionalized. He will have, lost all of some very valuable years of his life. Where he should be socializing into society as a young adult. He's going to miss all of that, right? He's going to miss being in society when his brain is also developing that last moment of reasoning, and it will be replaced with prison culture. Okay. Now, I talked about all the things that can happen to people in prison: corrections officers fucking with you, dealing with the threat of other inmates, being in solitary confinement, sexual assault, or being bullied and punked for your stuff. And these men sat on there, and a lot of y'all, and if you know who you are in the shoe fit wear, put that motherfucker on and tie it up. Because a lot of people said, like the people in my comment section today on the video was like, Michi, this woman just get pissed when don't nobody agree with her, and she just want to get so so negative about the situation. Some man said today, I got family members, plenty of people who went to prison and came out fine. I want to say to y'all, fuck you. 3 times. I call this the Umar Johnson. Fuck you 3 times, okay? Because I find that to be a problem in our community. Like, why is it that everybody is so quick to try and dismiss all of the stuff that I said? Oh, she just saying it's because her brother got killed in prison. And is my brother the only family member that's been killed in prison? Like, we ain't got that many people in here that's normally in this live. We just barely going on 600 people at this point. But there may be some in here. But if they're not, I guarantee you, as many times I done asked this question, because we used to have these conversations a lot when this went on. Is there anybody in here who got family members who's dead now from being in prison? Because they be in my chat. Y'all act like I'm the only motherfucker who has lost a family member to them being beaten by corrections officers. Oh, she just saying it's because of her son. Like, what part of going to prison is ever good? We literally sided with a nigga who is institutionalized. This man told y'all on the panel that prison taught him how to be a man. What part of prison teaches you how to be a man? Somebody explain this to me. I need somebody to explain it to me. If you look in the chat, somebody said I do. I'm assuming that's that I do, that I have family member or somebody passed away in prison in my family. So, I mean, what part of that, y'all realize? This is the thing. Y'all don't understand the depth of the psychology. And motherfuckers had the nerve to say, I'm mad because they disagree with me. Baby, the shit that I have been telling y'all about prison is not that you can disagree all you want, but your opinion is not a fact. The shit that I've stated is a fucking fact. This is what happens when people go to prison. What part of prison is good? Like, what part of locking an individual up in a little ass cement room with no window and the lights on 24 hours a day, what part of that is good? You do know that in the military, they use leaving lights on a person and never turning them off as a torture tactic. Like, this is a fact. This is not my fucking opinion. You do know that putting a person in isolation and sitting them in a cell is inhumane and it can break a person's mental. See, this is not my opinion. This is actually a fucking fact. What part of this is my opinion? What part of sitting somebody in a room like a zoo animal, coming past their window, seeing what they're doing, leaving the lights on and leaving them to nothing but their own senses, and you think they're not going to break when they got to talk to themselves, they got to go to fantasy world, something happens to their mind, and you think that a 17-year-old is going to be stronger than an adult when it comes to that, when this shit breaks adults? I find it interesting that the dude on the panel, he didn't deny all of the shit that I said can happen to you in prison. He said, no. I said, what part of that I said was a lie? None of that stuff happens in prison. Which part was a lie? He said, no, it's all the truth. But so if it's all the truth, what part of that is good? See, when a motherfucker tells you that prison raised them and was their daddy, what that means is that they think being a man means being strong and being a fighter. Because prison gonna teach you to man up or you're gonna get your ass beat. You see that word, man up? Like you can't go into prison and be a punk. They will take your shit from you. They will test your ass. I don't give a fuck what nobody say. If you go to prison and you in there long enough, there's gonna come a time that a motherfucker's gonna test you. And they're gonna see what kind of a person you are, if you're willing to fight or if they can punk your ass. Everybody gotta pass that test in fucking prison. Look, and I ain't been looking at the chat, but when I look over, which means there's quite a few in here, then my cousin went to Cook County Jail and was unalived. He never made it to prison. The lady said, I wish you would drop the link. I might drop the link. We'll see the lady for one person to come up at a time, but I'm not doing a whole panel. Like, what part of that is ever good? I just want us to rationalize this for a moment. Like, what part of that is ever good? Somebody said just like slavery. Absolutely, Blue Moon, because that's actually where I'm going. Like, these are men in our community that are saying this. So that means your image of a man is somebody who can fight and survive through harsh conditions. Do you see that that's what the definition of a man is? That's fuck. That's fuck. Because where in the definition of a man do you not think that emotional intelligence is important in being a man? Because, you know, they don't teach you that in prison. When you broken, you don't think it's important for men and women, but especially men too, if you're going to be the heads of households, to get therapy, because they don't give you that in prison, sir. For the motherfuckers who think this shit is okay. So it's okay that, how you go, the man who told me today in my comment section that he got a lot of family members that went to prison and they came out fine. I would like that stupid motherfucker to answer me a couple questions. How are your family members' careers going? Like, how is their career? Is their career on track? Like, they must have a great career. How is their ability to find somewhere to live when every landlord in an apartment is asking you if you have a prior felon? How is that going for them? Yeah, they have a great life, huh? Have they dealt with the trauma from all the years they missed from spending with their children, or the loved ones who passed away while they were in prison and then they couldn't go to the funerals? Like, do you want to touch on any of that? Because, I mean, that shit sounds like an amazing life. Sign me up. Sign me up. I want to go. I don't know about you, but I like sleeping with a pillow. It is sad that the grown-ass men in our community say this. Now, I want to point something out, and I'm going to play this news clip for y'all. See, this is what I get tired about when I listen to people that talk and run their mouth. And I'm going to need y'all to stop doing this. Stop saying, Michi, I've been watching you for a long time. Y'all act like because you've been watching me for a long time, that means that you know something about me or that justifies what you said. You could have been watching me from the very first day I went live and watching me now. That don't mean you can't say some dumbass shit. I hate when y'all throw that little note out there with Michi. I've been watching you for a long time. So I know, but if you've been watching me for a long time, then you should know that I've talked about prison and how it affects people a lot. But this would be my question to y'all. I could have swore that as long as I've been on here talking about Black empowerment and oppression and what we deal with, I thought we all agreed that the prison was the new plantation. Do we not agree about that anymore? Here go another one. Hold on, and let's go somewhere else. Like, so are we in agreement that I'm waiting because I want somebody to tell me, look, oh, my cousin husband can only find a job doing DoorDash because of 20 years in prison. Sounds like an amazing career choice for him. But these niggas keep telling me that I'm throwing a fit because people don't agree with me. No, how about as a Black woman and as a person who is constantly an activist? These are two separate things. But as a Black woman, I'm tired of hearing the people in our community who claim they are our protectors, our providers, our leaders. They want all this respect. This is your fucking perspective? Y'all really want to argue me down about prison being okay? Was prison okay for Robert Brooks? Do y'all think that what happened to Robert Brooks was a one-off? Oh, that doesn't happen a lot in prison, huh? Oh, it just happened to my brother and Robert Brooks, but it don't happen. So we should not be concerned with that at all. If Carmelo or any young Black children go to prison, oh, that will never happen to them. You sound like a stupid motherfucker. To show you not only did it happen to Robert, it's happened to my brother. People in the chat gonna tell you that it's happened to their family members. And I'm about to show you another young man, 22 years old, that they did it to. Then I'm gonna play a clip for you of another man that was in prison who's gonna tell you how the guards came in there, sodomized 2 inmates, and fucked everybody up, beat them up, and took all their stuff. And all they did was transfer them to other prisons. See, that's the side. That's why the man on my panel was pissing me off, because those are the things you act like don't exist and you don't want to talk about them. I don't understand that. So again, are we changing our mind that prison is not the new plantation? We agreed that racism was systematic more than anything else. And I thought that we agreed that the prison and justice system was one of the things that is used to oppress us. All these years I've been talking, we definitely agreed as Black people that we watch our people get incarcerated more than anybody else at an unfair rate, be tried for stuff and be wrongly convicted, be given charges that are way too long, that more of our children are tried as fucking adults than anybody else. That's why there was a study done on the school to prison pipeline. Thank you. There was a whole documentary called The 13th that you should have watched. These are not my fucking opinion. So did we change our mind on that? Because if we did not change our mind on that, Black men who want to keep defending this bullshit, if we did not change our mind on all those things that I just said, why the fuck are you talking to me like it's okay for our people to go to prison? Why in any way would you be upset with the woman telling you that going to prison is not going to do anything good for that boy and that it is going to change the fabric of who he is? It's going to take some of the most vulnerable moments of his life and the most valuable ages he should have to be doing other things away from him, and he will never get them back. Why the fuck do y'all want to argue me down about that? So now we're promoting niggas going to the plantation. Now it's not so bad for you to go to the plantation and let Master teach you how to be a good man. Because Master gonna teach you how to respect authority. He gonna teach you, if I told you, boy, you can't have no extra ketchup packets in this cell because this is contraband, I'm gonna beat your ass for bringing this shit in your room. So Master teaches you discipline. Because you stole an extra piece of cornbread out the cafeteria, and you're not, you do know that in prison, that's contraband. Like if you bring other shit in your cell, there's extra food, extra spoons, extra ketchup, that's contraband. I don't know why niggas act like that's a good thing. And if Master tell you weren't supposed to have this extra cornbread, he caught you stealing, he can penalize you for that. That teaches you how to be a man? No, prison teaches you how to be a good Negro. Unless we don't agree anymore that prison is the new plantation. Now, do we not agree on that? Like, I don't understand. Either we're against this oppression and racism, or next we gonna act like the shit don't happen and we gonna big it up. Like, I love Black men. I love y'all. I love y'all with everything in me. But at the same time, y'all niggas piss me off. Y'all really do. And I think I speak for a lot of Black women, for some of you Black men, when you wonder why our communities have not got to where they need to be, when you wonder, y'all want to blame everything on women and single motherhood. That's not even here nor there. There's a lot of issues in our community. But I look at our men and the conversations y'all have. I would expect a motherfucker that went to prison to come out and tell the youth, don't go to prison. I wouldn't expect you to be talking about, oh, you'll be all right in there. It ain't that bad. Fuck wrong with you? Let me tell you what that sound like. Oh, it ain't that bad over there on Massa Plantation. It ain't that bad. You be all right. You get fucked up a little bit. You might starve. They're going to throw you in that hot box and they might get the dogs out on you, but you'll survive. You be all right. Are we going to really act like we didn't see all of the problems in the prisons? Do you remember the prisons down south? Where was it in the south where they was in there, the guards left, they turned the power off, people were not getting their medicine, people were dying from not getting their insulin, the inmates were running the prison. Do you remember that? They would set niggas on fire in they cell. Like, it sounded like a movie, but y'all forgot that happened? When? When did y'all forget this? When did y'all forget that there are so many complaints? When did y'all forget that just the county fucking jail where I stay in Georgia, we got a whole county jail? It's the county. That means ain't nobody even been found guilty yet. These niggas is waiting to go to trial. People who ain't even been found guilty. You know how many deaths they had in the county jail? So many, they under investigation. So we're just like, this shit ain't happening. Is this what we're really doing? Yeah, because Carmelo going to prison, he'll be just fine. You stupid motherfuckers. And the fact that you're willing to argue me down about this and y'all grown-ass men, this is a problem for our community. I want you to know, for you men, and then some dumbass woman was like, Michi, why you gotta be so negative? Why are you signing and sealing and saying all of this stuff? It's like you wishing him to doom. Bitch, my voice don't have a fucking thing to do with what happens to Carmelo. I have no power or no authority over that. And fake lies and fake, oh, he'll be fine. You want me to lie to you niggas? He'll be fine. Then when he ain't fine, what? That's the problem. We don't deal with the reality of what's really going on in our communities and what the situations really are, because y'all want us to just say some fake ass nice shit to make you feel good instead of dealing with the impact of what's really going on. So I just don't understand. I don't understand why I'm receiving so much flack, because I am protesting to the loudness that I can on my platform, on that panel, and it pissed a bunch of you men off because I just refuse to agree with those fucking men up there. Those are grown-ass men in our Black community that have children. Is this what the fuck they would be telling their sons? And the crazy part is, the way they were advocating for the shit they were saying, I think they would say this to their sons. This makes me go down the rabbit hole and say, God damn, you must be a sorry ass father if this is what the fuck you think, and you have sons and you would agree to this for your son. If he go to prison, he'd be fine. He will. Let's see if he'll be fine like this young man right here. Let me share my screen with y'all so we can see what kind of fine they'll be. Let's do that.
Now to a growing scandal involving the New York State prison system. 10 correction officers now face criminal charges, including murder in the beating death of a young man from Harlem named Messiah Nantwi. It happened at Mid-State Correctional Facility last month, and 10 other officers are accused in a separate deadly assault caught on video at nearby Marcy prison in December. Investigative reporter Sarah Wallace has been covering these cases. She joins us live with the latest. Sarah?
Well, and Gilma, the description in the...
Oh, shit. It's the devil.
indictment as to how Messiah Nantwi died was horrific. What we learned a short time ago from the special prosecutor is that there is some body camera footage, but many of the officers weren't wearing them as required or deliberately disabled them.
This afternoon in the Oneida County Courthouse in Utica, New York, 10 correction officers appeared to face a variety of criminal charges related to the beating death of...
I'm sorry, y'all.
22-year-old Messiah Nantwi at Mid-State Correctional Facility on March.
I got prison internet.
1st. All were handcuffed and pleaded not guilty.
The grand jury of the county of Oneida, by this indictment, accuses Mr. Levy of the felony crime of murder in the 2nd degree.
2 officers
God damn it.
are accused of 2nd-degree murder as the top count, along with other charges. Their bail, $100,000 cash. In all, 5 officers are accused of manslaughter, others with gang assault and making false statements to cover up the crime. The indictment saying defendants began beating Messiah Nantwi, including multiple strikes to his body and head with their boots.
It was determined by the Onondaga County medical examiner that Mr. Nantwi died from traumatic brain injuries as a result of violent blows to his head, as well as at least 69 other serious blows about his body.
One inmate I spoke with by phone told me what he saw that day.
At different times, I was helping already. Guns blazing. And then they all file in the room, start You know, I'm kicking him. And he's just saying, please stop. I didn't do anything. Please stop.
Some of the officers are accused of falsely claiming Nantwi had a weapon and then mopping up the blood to destroy evidence. What's so disturbing is that Nantwi's death was the second in 3 months in a New York State prison. Body-worn cameras investigators say officers did not know was rolling shows them viciously beating 43-year-old Robert Brooks at nearby Marcy Correctional Facility in early December. 10 are facing murder and manslaughter charges in Brooks's case. I spoke with his father.
These officers get some kind of twisted, distorted pleasure from beating on other human beings. That is sick. That's savage.
A similar reaction from Nantwi's maternal aunt who helped raise him. I spoke with her this afternoon. Her message, throw the book at all of them. They've been getting away with this for too long. And Governor Hochul just released a statement,
I guess,
calling the case tragic, saying that she has directed DOC's Commissioner General Marticello to begin the termination process for all of those involved in Nantwi's death. Gilma.
So somebody says, wait a minute, another correction beating death. Yes. But again, nobody's talking about this. Nobody's talking about this, right? You know why? Because the algorithm is not feeding it. Even now tonight. Now, it is 772 people in this live. Now, I usually have at least over 1,000 people in here by now. I've been in here 40 minutes, almost going on an hour. You see how this doesn't play in the algorithm? Not only that, I send out my own notifications, but you see how many people are not in here because they don't give a fuck? So I want somebody to come tell me again how much y'all give a fuck about this situation and how y'all don't see that this situation is something that any young black man going to prison like Carmelo, who the fuck told you he in the clear? You think when Nantwi, the boy, when he went into jail, you think that his family thought that he was gonna end up this way? They had high hopes too. He gonna go to jail, he gonna serve his time, and he'll make it home and he'd be all right. No, he's not all right. He's not all right at all. And I want you to listen to this. I've said this and I've been saying this for a long time. And I'm gonna play another clip for you from another prison. We're gonna refresh the screen. Hopefully it'll work better than the last video. But did y'all hear the details in that? So they already know what happened to Robert Brooks. They weren't even playing with this. Off the rip, we found out because the officers have been charged with these crimes. You have 2 for manslaughter. Did you not hear them say that some of the officers are in trouble being charged with trying to cover it up? They went in there and cleaned up the blood. They turned off their cameras. They tried to cover it up. So do you not think that this is not regular play in prisons? I wish for the motherfuckers who've been in prison would stop lying and they would come on here. If you're going to click a goddamn link and tell the truth that the corrections officers do overstep their bounds, that if you get past having to deal with other inmates that could possibly harm you, that the corrections officers are just as much as a threat. When y'all going to tell that truth? Because corrections officers was taking advantage of beating the shit out of everybody when they beat my brother to death. And because he was in solitary confinement, they actually starved him and refused to bring him his meals. My brother is not the first inmate to be refused his food and let them starve to death. He's not the only one. When y'all gonna come up here and tell that truth? When y'all gonna come talk about all the beatings y'all done seen corrections officers give to people when they go into their cell over something dumb? Put a piece of paper up on your window in your cell. They're going to tell you to take it down. If you tell them no or put your mattress in front of you, you know what they're going to do? They're going to get the team to come in and beat your ass. How many of you know that in prison, there is this like SWAT team and each one of them niggas is assigned to a body part? Do you know that? Do you know that? Somebody said my sister's uncle was hung in jail. I just want to keep and I want to say, my heart goes out to all of y'all that have lost family members in this situation. But the reason why I'm going to continue to put this shit up here is because when a motherfucker keeps saying to me, Michi, you're only saying this because of your own personal experience, because of your brother and your son, because those were just Rare incidences. The fact that I've had to deal with bullshit in my family twice tells you it happens quite often. And did you see the line they tried to use? Oh, he had a weapon. Ain't that what the fuck the officers on the outside be saying? We thought he had a gun. They tried to lie and say this man had a weapon, and he didn't. Did you also hear that he died because of all the trauma that they did to his head? Why are you beating this boy in his head? And then did you hear that he had 69 other wounds to his body? So this is the thing. You don't think that this has happened in prison and they've gotten away with it? Wait until I come back tomorrow. How many of you know that a judge just gave the go-ahead to go with a case against a prison in the South? We'll talk about it tomorrow. And you know what they're investigating them for? Organ trafficking. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's not a sci-fi movie. We're not dumb, delusional people who wear tinfoil hats. See, we say this stuff all the time and nobody believes us. But the reason why they're being charged, and I'm going to say with organ harvesting, is because what's happening is that they have inmates dying in the prison and they're taking their organs without their family's permission. So do you know that if this prison is taking the organs, that means they're selling them to somebody? And if they're selling them and getting money, you don't think that they're actually taking inmates' lives who they think people don't care about for the purposes of just taking their organs? Like, you do realize that in the infirmary that they have all their medical records, so they know their health status, they know their blood type and all of those different things. So if there's actually a prison, and I'm going to show you the news on it. It's factual. It's fucking true. It's not a conspiracy theory. This shit is not a lie. So if prisons are selling inmates' organs, you don't think they're also producing those bodies to get those organs from? Are we really this stupid? Like, I just don't know when we had so much faith in the criminal justice system. I guess that works when men don't want to admit that prison is not good. Like, I don't know why y'all have such a hard time saying that. Maybe that's why you niggas keep going, because you don't want to say prison ain't good. He gonna be all right. You know that if they had not been caught for this boy's death, and this is the crazy thing, even with Robert Brooks, do you think these officers that have had these long careers, do you think that Robert Brooks was the first man that they murdered in prison? Do you think that's the first man they've assaulted or done that to? Do you think that's the first one? How many of you are that naive? Do you think the officers that just killed this boy, that helped cover it up, cut off cameras, they did this and what they did to him, and they could have stopped at any moment, their lives were not in any danger, they kept going and took it to the extent they did? Do you think that this was the first time they've done this? And how many times do you think officers do this shit in the prison and don't get caught? So what do you think happens? Thank you. Thank you. That's all prisons. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm pointing out what prison is really like. And then you got all these people wanting to give me pushback, acting like prison is okay and prison is a good place. Oh, you'll be fine if you go into prison. No, you're going to come out fucked up. And even if you do come out and you can have your life back, like I said, they're not offering you any therapy for all the shit that you'll go through or you'll see people happen to people in there. Because sometimes just the trauma of watching what happens to other people is fucked up. What about all your family members that pass away and you didn't get to go to their funeral and say goodbye? What about the strained relationships between you and your children, if you have any fucking children and you've missed their whole entire life? You gonna come out and just be fine? Just because you're alive don't mean you fine, nigga. And again, when you finally do get out of prison with that long bid that you just did, tell me who's finna give you a fucking job. You have great career choice options. But not only do they ask if you're a felon to get a job, they run background checks on you to find somewhere to live. So if you take a 17-year-old who ain't never rented his own apartment or ever lived on his own, and then when he get out the first time he try and get his own place to live, he got to tell him, I just got out of prison for doing murder. Good luck with that. But since this is so rare, and this doesn't happen, I want somebody to tell me then I shouldn't be able to watch this video right here then.
Back in July 6th, 2016.
Let me refresh this. Because I want somebody to tell me then why is this being said. So let's listen to this man's story. You know, since this shit don't happen and we just be good, right?
July 6th, 2016, a busload of COs came into the correctional facility, Mid-State Correctional Facility, into the dorm 4H and assaulted numerous inmates in a horrible, brutal fashion. It's really one of those events that you don't want to remember, but how could you forget it?
Says guards brutally beat the man, destroyed personal items, and sodomized 2 inmates. None of the guards faced criminal charges. The inmates eventually sued and
I got lower back injury that turned out to be diagnosed as a partial herniated disc. Went through several bouts of physical therapy in the following years. And really always looking over his shoulder, not being able to trust who was out there. A lot of the officers that were in that facility transferred to other facilities. So always concerned that if they spot you, that they might cause trouble for you in other facilities. So that's always a mental burden, and all kinds of forms of retaliation happen, not just physical, but just mental games, denials of things you might need, those type of things going on after such an incident. We were told, we were threatened that we weren't going to be using the phone, we weren't going to make any mail deliveries, no one was going out to see medical. So one of the phone cords there in the dorm were already cut. They had multiple phones. The other one was not cut, and one of our roommates named Romeo was insistent on using the phone to call his parents, people. When he went out there to use the phone, an altercation ensued. They beat him up, dragged him out of the dorm, and he never returned, and they came and packed him up. That was the last we saw of him. Weeks after, still trying to deny medical attention. Some people were able to get down to there down to medical because he passed out on the walkway for not having their medication, and then they took him to the infirmary to get their medications that they were needing. So that was one way, but the situation was tense until we got the letter from Sylvan Miller, which was a cease and desist letter, and then things loosened up a bit, and then people would begin to be moved to other dorms, off the 4H dorm to other dorms around the facility.
Now, in this, I want y'all to pay attention to what he said, right? So these correction officers, they got in a little bit of trouble, right? They just move men around or whatever. And again, they will come and take your rights they won't give you a shower. They'll put you in the hole. They will take your belongings. You're in prison. They did that to my son. They went into my son's cell, and my son had years of pictures of his daughter and his family. Like, them is his pictures. Like, that's a valuable thing to you in prison, to have photo albums of all the pictures of your families over the years. They took his shit and threw it away. So these people have complete control over your life. That was another man's story in a different prison. Has nothing to do with the story we just looked at, or Robert Brooks' situation. And somebody said, oh my God, sodomize them. Yeah, I had these niggas on this panel trying to act like people do not get sexually assaulted in prison. Stop the cap. Stop the fucking cap. That's the shit. See, the nigga on the panel, that's the shit y'all just don't come out of jail and talk about. Because if a nigga sexually assaults you in prison, you're not going to come out and tell nobody that. And if you see it happen to somebody else, you're not going to come out and talk about that either. So shut the fuck up lying. I ain't never met a nigga been in prison come tell you that that's true, but yet and still we got all these fucking cases. Now, I would like to address Fred Davis. I want to say to you, Fred Davis, fuck you. fucking fuck you, your mother, your father, your family, anybody that is connected to you that helped to create your thought process, who helped create your DNA, who brought your dumb ass into this world. Because that is just a stupid statement to say right there. It really is. Would you? I would drop the link for you if you would like to come up here and explain why that is your perspective. Let's see if you would like to come up here and speak to me, because this is the thing. When y'all say shit like this, y'all act like everybody in motherfucking prison is in there because they murdered somebody. You a stupid ass nigga. Did you not just hear me tell you that in the county jail in here, you realize the county jail is when people are waiting to go to trial to be found guilty of something. And plenty of them are dying in the county jail to where they had to do an investigation. You do know there are people who are wrongfully convicted. You do know that there are children that should be tried as juveniles, but they put them in adult prison. So it's just that simple. Don't commit a crime. Nigga, you commit a crime all the time. You've never sped past the speed limit. You've never jaywalked. You've never walked out of a self-checkout without paying for something. It's always niggas like you that act like y'all perfect as hell. Oh, it's not the system. It's you. If you're not going to click my link, Fred Davis is not allowed to say another thing in my motherfucking chat tonight. Fred Davis will get, I'm going to time you and say something else. I would like freedom over whatchamacallit, over equality. I would like you, if Fred Davis say another motherfucking thing in my chat, but don't click this link, I would like you to time him out for 86,000 minutes, okay? We're going back to that tonight. 86,000 minutes on that ass, okay? Okay? Because if you're not going to click the link, you got people in this comment section, and I see you in the back, Delaney, I'm going to bring you up in 1 second. You got people in this comment section who have talked about their family members who have been killed in prison. You see that people are in here. You see what we're talking about. You have heard that I talked about my brother and everything else. None of these people we're talking about are in there for murder. So why should they have to pay for their lives with this stuff? Are you serious? So if you can't back that ignorant statement up, don't say nothing else in my chat tonight. Send a super chat, say, Michi, I love you, send some hearts, apologize to the fucking people you offended in my comment section, or don't say another thing, Fred Davis. There's also several other options you have. You can unsubscribe, motherfucker, and never come back to this live. You got the right one and the wrong one all at the same time, baby. Don't come in here with that bullshit. It's that simple. Just don't commit crime. I know. God forbid you get falsely accused of something. You stay away from some white women, because I can name you 5 fucking cases of black boys who went to prison, had college and basketball and football careers taken because a white girl lied on them, only to find out later that they was lying about the sexual assault. Do you think they gave that black man back all they stole from him? No. But what about them? Oh, I guess they deserve to be in there even though they didn't commit no crimes. Shut the fucking fuck up. Your dumbass name, Fred Davis. You must be an old motherfucker, because I hope they ain't naming nobody Fred Davis in this day and age. You just old and dumb. Okay, you too old to be that dumb. Click the link. You're going to be sentenced to 86,000 minutes of silence, motherfucker. You could come back after that. Don't be back there laughing. I'm gonna bring up Delaney. And I want to speak to Delaney on this topic because Delaney came up on Saturday. And correct me if I'm wrong, but Delaney, you work in...
Yeah, I'm a correction. I'm a CO in the sheriff's department.
Yep.
I work in a jail. I don't work in a prison.
Okay.
We're not going to get into the debate between jail and prison. I'm just incarceration. I work with incarcerated people. I'm gonna say it like this, because what you were talking about regarding people in our community kind of glorifying or appropriating going to prison, and it is sad. You know, straight up, it really, really is sad. Because I was thinking about this movie while you were talking about it. And you said you came from the movie. I watched Sinners too. It was great.
Not to get off topic. That's
yeah, I know, right? Get off subject. My bad. But anyway, no, I want to say it was this movie with Don Cheadle and Taraji P. Henson in the movie. The movie was great too. But the movie was called Talk to Me. I don't know if you ever seen that movie. Well, you know, it was about a brother who was a disc jockey. He was just a famous disc jockey. I think somewhere on the East Coast somewhere. And the whole movie was about how he went to prison and how he changed and reformed himself and things of that nature. I think on one end, the reason why a lot of our people kind of appropriate it is because, and I'm not saying this should be right, but I'm saying men and women who go in there and who really did commit crimes, they get that time to sit and think. And I'm not saying this is the only way they can be reformed if you did some fucked up shit, but they get that dark gift to get introduced to themselves, to sit down and think, I fucked up. Because a lot of times, a lot of these young men and women out there doing these crimes, unfortunately, don't have somebody to stir them in the right direction. I had a dad that put a belt across my ass, and I grew up in a better way.
Do you think that environment is appropriate for all crimes though? Because I think when we speak for all crimes, because I think there's that environment, because I think there are levels to the crime that people commit, and I don't think that's appropriate for all levels of crime. I think oftentimes when we speak about crime, we always speak to like the most heinous stuff that people do, being in gangs, shooting people, robbing, assaulting people. Like if we move away from that, we know that that statistics state that majority of the people that are in prison are in there because of drug charges. Usually there's a lot of white collar crimes, people that are writing bad checks, evading, taxes, stuff like that. So that's not everybody that's necessarily in prison doing time. So do you think that environment is necessary for all levels of crime?
No, I don't. The jail I work at, to me, it's amazing. And I'm just going to name one. To me, I think it's not even a crime. And this is a whole nother subject. And let's not get off of it. I've seen plenty of dudes up in there who can't pay a child support payment. And I think that's complete bullshit.
Right.
Okay. But at the same time, it's something that, it gives them time to sit and think. I've seen this program that I think actually is really good. I think it's somewhere in Kansas City or even Idaho. And it's this program where they take, young offenders who really have been found guilty for crimes like robbery, assault and battery, and burglary and things of that nature, right? They go from 13 to 25, I think it is. Now, they'll go to jail. They'll go to jail. But the judge gives them a choice. You can go to prison for X amount of years for the crime that you've been found guilty of, sure enough. Or you can do this program. It's kind of like a paramilitary program. And they actually set them up to go into the military. At the same time, I'm not saying the military is the greatest solution for everybody neither, because, there's some problems there too. However, that's something as a CO, and as a young man, I almost went into the military. I definitely think a lot of our young men could use that. Okay.
Or maybe the ones that are on the wrong track. Let me ask you, have you ever seen the prisons in some other countries? And I can't even think of the country now. I don't want to misspeak it, but it was one that I was watching, and their prisons are actually like college dormitories.
Yes.
So they go in and out of their room. It wasn't Sweden. They give them keys to go in and out of their room. They go to classes. They have therapy.
They go to engineering school.
Teach them to be a better person in that environment. And their recidivism rate is very low. People leave prison no matter what their crime is, and they don't come back because they actually treat them like human beings, give them opportunity, and help them in all the things that are wrong in their life. I think that in our prison, which is crazy, because when I was getting my degree in criminal justice, they literally told me in my criminal justice class that that rehabilitation doesn't really happen. Like, that's not what prisons are designed to do. They're not designed to make a person better. They actually do not bring down, the recidivism rate. That prison styles here have never stopped people from coming back. So it does not deter them from doing a crime, or even people who haven't committed a crime say, I don't want to go to prison, so I'm not going to do that shit. So it does not work either way. Also, we know that sentencing is arbitrary, meaning it is no rhyme or reason to it. So if a person, let's say they commit robbery, why do they have to have like 18 years behind bars? The truth is that number doesn't necessarily have any basis behind it. It's just a number they throw out there, when it's a psychological fact that if a person is going to learn from their crime, become better, and then get out of prison and do something better, that they can actually come to that decision and not be as institutionalized. They can do that shit within a matter of like 2-3 years. So the number of years our system gives people is very excessive.
Yes.
And it creates the institutionalization. And
Yes.
so when we just look at that, I just think that the way the environment's set up, it teaches us some people may go in there and get some more structure in their life. But then when they come out, what are they contending with? They may have had more structure. They're not running the streets. But when they get out and realize with their felony, they can't make no money. All the people they loved after 15, 20 years is dead. They ain't got nowhere to be. A lot of them turn back to a life of prison, crime, because that's the only way they can make it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. But I have seen on the other side, and I'm not disagreeing with what you say, I have seen on the other side a lot of men go into an independent kind of stage. They find a way to start their own business. And I'm not championing it, but some of them, they get into selling some drugs, they get into doing some stuff that was illegal to get that money, but then they start their own business. And that don't mean I'm saying, no one's perfect, and damn sure this system isn't perfect. But only thing I was just trying to point to was that I'm not going to say that the prison system, criminal justice system here in the States is actually good, but I am going to say some of the people, when they have a chance to sit down in that cell to think about what they did, they have the ability, or I should say this, they discover that they have the ability to think critically and think structurally. It just so happens that when they was out on the streets doing what they was doing under the wrong influence, they wasn't using that critical thinking. I'm not, like I said, you don't need to go to prison to do nothing. You ain't got to go to prison to get a degree. You ain't got to go to prison to be a disc jockey like that brother on that movie. You ain't got to do none of that stuff. You can do it on the outside. It's just that, unfortunately, they don't see that until they are introduced to themselves in a really fucked up way.
Do you think it's like a slap in the face and just I think it's just some haha in your face American ass shit that we do. How diabolical do you think that it is for a person to be able to go to prison and they say you can get a degree while you in here, knowing damn well when you get out of prison, nobody giving you no fucking job with that degree?
I do think that's some haha American ass shit. I do think that, and it's just, and we need in our people, as far as our people in our community, we have got to stop appropriating that shit. Okay, if we think if we see that they got the light, or they got the ability to think and have a business associated mind while they're sitting in prison for X amount of years, we should be able to see that when they're young. We should be able to see that in their teenage years and whatnot. And we should be the ones, the men and the women should come together, and we should be the ones to, create some kind of outlet, some kind of extra, some extra like places where they can actually go and see that within themselves. Because guess what? The gang leaders get to those kids. The drug dealers get to those kids. The fucked up family members get to those kids. And not all of us is fucked up family members and drug dealers and gang members and whatnot. We still have reach. We still have influence in our community. We just need to actually get out there and do it. We need to get out there and be proactive with the shit. We've heard this a whole million times. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. No, go ahead. Finish. Go ahead.
I was going to say also, too, another diabolical thing, another piece of that chain that's still around our necks and our wrists and our ankles is also the school system. And we know it. We heard the prison pipeline line many a time.
They build prisons based on inner city 3rd and 4th grade reading level. So when they know your children can't read in 4th grade, they build more prisons based on those reading scores.
It's so crazy. When I was in the East Bay area, I went to a school called Merritt College in Oakland, California. I took a criminal justice class. I wasn't always going to go for, corrections, law enforcement, and all that stuff. But I took a criminal justice class, and we went up to Alameda County Jail. And they brought us up to the jail, the class, because they set it up. This guy used to be the chief of police for Oakland PD. He set it up. We went out there to the jail, and we started, touring the jail and whatnot. And the whole process, if you would have seen this, it kind of made me sick after it. The whole process, they was trying to tell us how clean the jail was, how professional the staff was, how good and nutritious the food was. The one thing I'll never forget about that process when I went up there to that jail was the smell of the food. It wasn't nasty. It just reminded me of school food, like elementary and middle school food. And it was just that smell that just kind of, it put in my mind, like, wait a minute, they trying to match this with school and things of that nature. And I put that together. I don't know, it's the smell of that food.
If you look at the school, first I want to say back to the first thing that you were saying about, you know, in the community and, you know, we have options and we need to help in our community. This is why you weren't on the panel about the prison thing the other night, but the same way I was mad at the brothers you was on there when I was like, this is bullshit. Why y'all act like that man don't need to say that? I had the same kind of energy, right, for the brothers talking about the prison thing. But this is why it made me mad, because what you're saying is correct. And if there are men on my panel willing to argue so hard that if this boy goes to prison, he's going to be okay, why are they not taking that same energy and going in the community, actually telling our young men don't go to prison and trying to give them a better way? That's what you should be doing instead of arguing me down about how prison ain't that bad.
I can't account for what those brothers are arguing because I've never been to prison and been an inmate. But I can say this, I've been a black man I've been black all my life, and I see within our communities, it's just this sense of appropriation or badge of honor because you survived the prison. Okay. I still think in our community, we're still lost a lot as men, and we're looking for what manhood is. We're still trying to answer the question. I think manhood is a lifelong fucking process. You may cross over into the threshold physically into a manhood at 18, or at least physically and maybe physically and legally 18, but have you crossed over emotionally? Have you crossed over intellectually, as a man? And there's so much depth to what I just said. It's just so much depth to that.
It is. And I think
what I'm saying? And it's different. It's different.
You as a black man, what being a man is different than what it is for everybody else.
Okay, say what you just said again.
I think that black men have been given a completely different scenario of what a man is for them versus the rest of society.
But see, Misha, here's the thing. I come from I had a dad in my life. I had a mother in my life. I even remember as a young boy growing up in Richmond, California. I remember it was a young cat down the street when we was acting a fool, because I was hard-headed too. We was acting a fool, being kids. There was another young man that was like 17, 18 years old. He seen how we were acting. He seen what was going on. And we all thought he was cool because he was super athletic. He taught us karate, taught us how to fight. Anytime we wanted to fight each other in the street and all that old nonsense, he said, no. You come in the backyard, you put the gloves on, whoever lose, you go home or whatever, because he's seen the police coming in our neighborhoods and he understood the long run about what Richmond PD was going to do to Parkchester Village if we continued to fight and do what we was doing. He actually intervened. That's the reason why I still have some hope, because not all of us out there is lost. But manhood is different for everybody. Sometimes,
all of y'all are all of our men are not lost. I guess the reason why I was asking that is because one of the men on my panel, he said to me that he felt like, and this was of course his experience, when he said this, I just let him talk because I know men go through other stuff than us. I didn't want to, dictate to him what his experience was, but he said, that prison raised him and it taught him how to be a man, right? And for me, that was a very sad statement, but he said it very proudly, like, well, prison is what taught me structure. Prison is what taught me how to be a man. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, there's a lot of things that you should have as a man that prison can't offer you at all. And I think that from propaganda, our music, but even from other things, news and all kind of stuff, movies, it all projects into telling black men that being a man is about having money, hoes, clothes, and being tough. Whether you got to shoot a nigga, you got to, beat a nigga up, whatever it is, you're not a man if you let somebody disrespect you. You're not a man if you can't physically harm somebody to protect your name, your word, and who you is. And the truth is, I'm going to tell you, as a 46-year-old woman that has children, has been married, for me, I want all of the men in my life to be strong enough that your pride doesn't get in the way, that if a situation calls for you to walk away so that you can come home alive, or so that we can continue to have you in our life, like, who gives a fuck about your ego?
But here's the thing.
Come on and let's go home. Do you get what I'm saying? To me,
Right.
that is actually called emotional intelligence and understanding when a situation is not worth it, having hindsight and reasoning that if I'm a protector of my family, I do no justice to protect them if I'm not here. So the best thing for me to do is say, fuck my ego. We about to go home because I got a
Right.
family to take care of. Prison don't teach you that. Black men don't get taught that. It's like you a punk if you let somebody disrespect you. Some shit you just gotta
What I was gonna say, and what I was gonna say to what you were saying is you're absolutely right. But the other piece of that I don't know if you mentioned it, and it's very critical when it comes for young boys and men crossing over into their essence of what they say is manhood, is a woman. Now understand this, as what you just said, there's not a lot of women in our community that just kind of have that stance. There are a lot of women in our community, and unfortunately a lot of single mothers who teach their sons that they have to be this way, who don't learn a sense of self-control. I was in Oakland, California, and one time catching the buses. I didn't have no car, but at the same time, mama was sitting there teaching her son, like, you better beat the living hell out of him, or I'm gonna just beat the living shit out of you. And it's you got to understand, like, a woman, her essence and what she says to a man and whatnot, like, and all that little shit, that can set a man off in the wrong direction as well too. And it's not just, I'm not trying to put it all on women and nothing like that, but what I'm saying
but that is
is,
true. You're right. I've seen a lot of women
when you coming in, when you are young,
in situations because they want them to be tough and fight on their behalf, and
right,
and
and see, that's another thing, and that's what I want to speak to too. I got a 13-year-old son. And he looking at girls, and that's fine. It's just called life. He grown up, puberty, whatever, But at the same time, I sit here, I said, look, boy, you do not have to set yourself on fire for no woman to feel warm. The hell with that shit. Walk away. Walk the F away, because it's not, that's not chivalry. That's bullshit. Okay? I tell my son all the time, walk the fuck away. That's the best power you have when it comes to manhood and women, is self-control. If she disrespecting you the first time, walk the fuck away. Walk away. You don't need to go to prison behind someone. No, that's bullshit. But we have a whole bunch of young men in our community who got a cell phone. And if that one girl they've been going after calls them up, hey, come over here to Burger King and kick this nigga's ass, they running over to Burger King and kicking that nigga ass and getting into some bullshit. And they don't realize.
That's lacking that emotional intelligence, though, to understand, and when they're young, the truth is psychologically, Emmanuel said everything starts psychologically. That's true. Because when we're young, we actually don't have that emotional reasoning developed just yet. I mean, it's actually a physical thing in our brain, unless your parents have taken time to actually teach you about reasoning. You can develop reasoning earlier in children, but for the most part, children at that age don't have it, and they do run on emotions because they worry about if they don't go, what the girl would think about them. How is somebody going to perceive me? They care about those things too much.
Speaking to this situation with the corrections officer in New York and all that, and me being a corrections officer, I had to learn too. I'm not an angel. I ain't put my knee on nobody's neck for 10 goddamn minutes, but I didn't cuss one of these inmates out because they came at me a little sideways. Okay. But at the same time, I had to learn yet again as a man. And I had to learn, of course, before as a young man. You got to learn to pick and choose your battles. Just because somebody called you a bitch, don't make you a bitch.
Right.
You just got to learn to be like, all right, man, whatever, it's cool. The only time you get physical is if somebody try to get physical with you. And I tell my son the same thing. I said, listen.
That's what I teach my kids. If somebody is two things, if somebody gets in your personal space or they put their hands on you, let them say all the words they want to say. But I also teach them personal space. If a person gets within so much space of you, I'm going to assume you're getting ready to put your hands on me. So now I'm going to take that as a threat. And you will.
And one of my former martial arts instructors, he even told me, my Sifu said, hey, if you get into some shit, well, he didn't say it like that. If you get into something, hey, your first line of defense is run. And I'd be like, Sifu, why you say, what's going on? Run. He goes, yeah, run. He says, but yet if you run and they come to you, then they can just catch that ass whooping because you tried to run. And if everybody's seeing you and they looking and laughing and calling you a bitch and everything like that, okay, when you turn around and pull all that art that I taught you to pull out and do that, can't nobody really say nothing because you're gonna be able to say, yeah, listen, I ran. I didn't want to even fight this dude. It was on some bullshit. It was over a fucking cheeseburger at McDonald's that wasn't even cooked all the fucking way. So I'm saying,
people who are skilled and trained, and I see we got somebody named Darla in the back. I will let Darla come up in a minute after I finish this conversation with you. But for a man that I know that's very skilled in fighting, he teaches the young boys in our community to fight. I think he says the same thing. When you know, and I think it's different when a young man is equipped with the ability to defend himself with his hands, because then the funny thing is I watch my son and the other boys in the class with him. And this is the thing, is that they know they have the ability to really hurt a person. So because they know that they can do that, they're actually not quick to want to fight somebody, right?
It's like,
do it. And he teaches them these rules. He's like, look, he tells them to avoid the situation if you can. And the reason why we do that is because the next thing he teaches them is, if you have me put my hands on you, I am not stopping until the threat is diminished. So these kids don't train to just punch you in the face and walk away. You're going to be laying on the ground unconscious when I walk away, because now you put your hands on me. You have forced me to have to fight. We don't go half away. And if I think that you're a threat to me to where I have to pull out a weapon, I'm not pulling out this weapon to shoot you in your pinky toe. I'm going to kill you. That's why I pulled out the weapon. So because they understand these concepts, they actually try and refrain first in any type of a combat, because they understand the ability they have to do harm. So it's like, this dude messing with me right now, I could break his nose. I'm gonna break his leg, and I'm gonna turn around and, why he cry about that, break his nose, and he gonna be laying on the ground. I don't really want to break this man up if I don't have to. He doesn't understand what I'm about to do to him, because I'm not just gonna slap him and walk away. I'm gonna hurt him bad now that he done made me go there. And so you find that when people have been taught to fight, they're also very disciplined in when they use that, because they know they have that ability. I find that that's something that comes along with all instructors that teach you how to defend yourself. They all seem to come with the same perspective, because my son will beat your ass, but he don't want to hurt nobody. That's the thing. So he is like, don't make me. But if you make me, I've been trained and told that once you push this button, I'm gonna beat your ass all the way. Like the threat has to be neutralized. It has to be done. That's what he taught. I'm not going to hit you and walk away and then let you come back after me again. If I walk away, you're going to be on the ground incapacitated, nigga.
Right. So, and that's cool. My final words is, I meant to say Orisha Eshu. That's what I was saying earlier, Eshu. But that was the energy inside the movie. Yeah, that's cool. Everybody go see Sinners. It was a beautiful movie. I love the last part. I'm not going to give spoilers, but as Black men, we should love when he kills a whole fucking lynch mob.
Oh my God. Dude, yeah, I can't say it was the best part. It was a great part, though.
Yeah, it was the best goddamn part. Anyway, all right, I'll leave you alone. Bye.
All right, thank you for coming up, Delaney. Let me see. All right, I want to say shout out. I want to say shout out to Draco. I saw that and I didn't get to go back, so I want to say that now. Draco, I believe that's what it was. As I was glancing in the chat, says that they have been out of jail for 17 years and still cannot get a place because of their record. That is ridiculous. And this is why this is the new plantation. And people, I think, don't necessarily understand it to that extent, because whenever the prison system can put you in a state where it's locked you out of society, I want y'all to think about this real quick, and then I'm going to bring Darla up for a minute, and then we're going to call it a night, y'all, in here. But I want you to think about this for Draco, okay? Like, when we was back in the days, like the movie Sinner, go see it, okay? And there was a lot that we couldn't do, right? Because we was a nigga, right? Certain communities you couldn't live in, certain places you couldn't be at, certain jobs you couldn't have. So what they did was use the label felony and turn that into the new nigga. Now, I'm not saying other people other than Black folks don't have felonies, but this is why they push more of our people to the prison than anybody else, with longer sentences, unfair shit, stuff they know you're going to take a plea deal for, when if you waited and went to trial, majority of these people will be found not guilty because they don't always have enough evidence, and it'd be a bunch of bullshit. And so at the end of the day, when you think about it and you get out of jail, there are certain places you can't go. There are certain houses you can't live in. You can't get any assistance if you have a felony. Like, at the end of the day, it strips you from all of your civil rights, right? Because you can't get certain funding to go to college if you're a felon. So you don't have your right to education now. You can't get your right to housing, even if you're willing to go get a job. Jobs won't hire you. People won't let you live in their apartments. Is that not the new nigga? Like, I think that is something crazy about the fact that you tell somebody to serve a sentence, and Draco has served their sentence, and has gone 17 years beyond that fucking sentence. And nowhere do you allow that person to redeem themselves in society. I paid my cost. I served my time. So even when we serve our time, you still gonna put a label on me for the rest of my life in society? I can't find anywhere to live. Like, I'm a human being. I don't need a job. I don't need somewhere to live. That shit follows you for the rest of your life. Now, is that really fair? Because even people who get out of jail and do their time, like they say, and folks like, oh, when they come home, they'll be fine. No, it's not. That shit fucks up your whole entire life. You're not even allowed to live as a normal person. Everybody needs a job. Everybody needs a way to make money. Everybody needs to be able to put a roof over their head. And you take those opportunities from them for the rest of their lives. Do you remember when we talked about the fact that the first Black police officers weren't even allowed to carry guns? And they were only allowed to police their own people, Black people? Like, if you have a felony, you can't get a gun. What if your felony was a non-violent felony? Let's say you in jail for writing bad checks. You got a felony. It's still a felony. But you wrote over $400 worth of bad checks, and in that state, over $400 worth of something is considered a felony. So now you have a felony for writing bad checks. Here you are 10 years later, you live alone. You're a woman and you live alone. Or you're a man, but you live alone and you're a woman. Let's just use that scenario. And you would like a gun. That is your constitutional right. And you would like to be able to protect yourself in your home. Not that you want to commit crimes. You didn't commit a violent crime to start with. You're not allowed to carry a gun. You see how they snatch your right from you, which is a constitutional right, but they use this felony as a reason to do that. A felony is the new nigga, and the prison is the new plantation. So for any Black man who would sit up here and tell me, oh, you go to prison, you be fine, you sound like a happy nigga on the plantation. That's what you sound like. That's what you sound like, and you promoting one plantation over the other. It's ridiculous to me. It really is. Because Draco should not be in that situation. This is unfair. It's unconstitutional. It is not right. All those civil rights we fought for, and everybody gets them but us. All Draco's civil rights have been stripped from them after paying for their fucking crime. So even the stupid person who came here earlier, oh, it's simple. Don't do the crime. Well, what if we do the crime and we do our time? Now what? We paid our fucking debt to society, and we still ain't allowed to be free? A slave for life, huh? Anybody who promote that shit, something wrong with you. I want to say shout out to Brenda, a new channel member. Shout out to Brenda for being a new channel member, you guys. And everybody else in the chat that's already a channel member. Shout out to my channel members. Let me come. I got Darla in the back. Since Darla was back there sitting waiting, I'm going to let Darla up and see what they want to say. And we'll see if we call it a night after this, y'all. Hey, Darla, you can hear me?
Yes. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Go ahead.
Hey, I want to shout out you first of all, Michi. I've been following you for a couple of years now. I've taken one of your classes, and I want to thank you for what you're doing for the community and your activism. First of all, it's just so awesome. And I look at you like the daughter I never had, because I have my oldest son is close to your age. So, anyways, I just came to say, okay, I've been a retired corrections officer, but I've also been on the other side because my oldest son, I have 3. The middle one got into some trouble too, but my oldest son, he's been in prison. Thank God he's been out for 18 years now. He started his own business, so forth and so forth. He's doing very well. But I want to be here too long. But I'm going to start on the side first of being a mother of someone who was incarcerated, because I have, like I said, I've been on both sides, working as a correctional officer and a parent of my son being in corrections. So I want people to stop. For one, some people will blame the parents, but my sons had a great life. Been married for 35 years. We gave, they were, my husband is their stepdad, my oldest 2. So anyways, they rebelled a little bit when we got together. So they started doing some things they shouldn't do or whatever. Oldest one got some time in prison and stuff like that. But we had our heads in the sand. We got to pay attention to our children, because just because I kept them in sports all the time, basketball, football, you name it, I kept them in church, I kept them in, you name it. We were trying to make sure they didn't get distracted, but they had family members, and friends and people in the neighborhood, I guess, when we were working and things like that, they got involved with gangs. So therefore he ended up doing some time. But the thing about on the correctional side, first of all, as a woman, it's very.
Before you move on to the correctional side, can I ask you a question? Like,
Sure.
as a parent, I guess just for somebody else to speak to this, because I've heard a lot of people, like even with the Carmelo case, talk about how his mama standing up there crying and how she this and that. Like, as a parent on the other side, you said something. As parents, we can do all the right things. That does not guarantee that our children will not find themselves in situations that we never hoped they would be in, and that they won't find themselves in trouble. You can do all the right things. So no, it's not always attributed to the parent. That is absolutely true. But I'm sure that when that happened to you and you knew that your son was going to go to jail, wasn't that a devastating thing? Like, as a parent, nobody wants to see that happen to their child. And I think people forget that we have the right to say that even in what our children may have done, even if there's a victim in their crime, that we also are dealing with that as well. And it is very difficult for us. It's like people don't let the families of the one that's going to jail, maybe if he goes, be able to be upset. That's very inhumane to me, because I don't know why people wouldn't think parents wouldn't be upset about their children.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. That's actually true. We go through everything with them. My son and I still talk about that to this day. I have pictures and stuff we laugh and talk about now and everything, but that was very devastating for me as a mom, to see my son.
Did you feel like, let me ask you this, because I don't know if you did, but I know a lot of parents, and I did this to myself. We go through, like, when people be like, oh my God, and you did the best you could. And sometimes our children do things, like I said, that we can't help. But I went through this guilt. Like, what did I do wrong? Like, what did I do that he took this road, or he did what he did? Like, as parents, we do beat ourselves up and feel like, how could I have done something different? You know what I'm saying? Did you go through that at all?
I went through that big time. Matter of fact, I went through that longer than I should have.
Yeah.
I was beating myself up. I was questioning myself about why I would, sometimes I would blame it on my husband. What did we do wrong, or what you could have done better? It was so bad with the guilt thing for me. And so that's one reason why I stuck by his side. I stuck by his side all the way through the years that he was in there. I was supporting him. We were visiting him. I was sending him money, whatever he needed. I supported him, because that was part of the gift, but it's also part of who I am too. I'm going to always stick by my sons. That I don't care what nobody says, but yes, the guilt was heavy. It was very heavy. It took me a very long time to question myself why, especially being that I was a parent, the type of parent that I was. That's the main thing. I always thought, well, this happened to people that are not paying attention to their kids.
Doing everything right.
Yes, and I was doing everything right, I thought, so yeah, but sometimes them streets out there and that peer pressure is a little bit heavier than parenting, unfortunately, for our children. So, but then I went on the other side, it was, I think this was all, God, because I actually got on with corrections while my son was still incarcerated.
Now, I want to, before you tell us that story, I want you to also talk about, like, if that was difficult for you. When I first went to school to be a corrections officer, it was what happened to my brother. I was 17 years old when I went to college, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna get my degree in criminal justice. I'm gonna go be a corrections officer, because I felt like if I went into prison, like, I was gonna do something better. I wasn't gonna be a mean corrections officer. I was gonna make a difference. I'm 17. I think I could change the world. And so this is what I thought. But then I actually went to jail. I didn't go to prison. And I heard somebody say that about me. They was like, Michi she was in the feds. No, I wasn't, but I was in the county jail. I couldn't pay my bail. I was broke back then, y'all. So I sat there for like 5 months waiting to I got probation. I had never done anything before. I didn't have a record. They gave me probation and told me I had to pay restitution for what I did. But after being on the other side of that, I was just like, and that was before my son. But I want to know, like, if it was difficult for you, because for me, I threw away that hope. I was like, I'm gonna finish this degree because I just want to say I did it at some point in my life. But I'm never going to be a corrections officer because I was like, I could never turn that key and lock somebody up in that cell because I've been there. And then to have family members who have, I felt like I couldn't do it. How did that affect you? Did you feel that way in any way? Like when you went into the prisons, especially, or the jail, since your son was still in there, did you ever, as you're locking them up, locking the door and watching them in their cells, did it ever just bring you back to, this is what my son is dealing with?
Yeah, yes, of course. But this is the thing. I started off in administration there first. I was working at administration. Matter of fact, that's how I ended up over on that side of corrections, because people would tell me, oh, in California too. I'm in California, so they make really good money. And they would tell me that and say, because I knew of the backside of it, the administration part of it. They were like, why don't you just go on up, make more money and have your great retirement and stuff. So I was like, okay. So as I was in administration still was when he got incarcerated, but I was learning so much about it, and on that side of it, which was very good, because when I crossed over, he was still there. But I don't know if that I know God gave me the strength, but yes, it was difficult at times, because all you're thinking about is, oh my God, this is what my son is doing.
Yeah.
In fact, he was in a worse one than I was working in. So yes, it takes a toll on you, but I didn't share that with anybody, only my family and people that I want to know, the people I work with. Now I had to let them, the higher up, the people know that he was incarcerated, because that's the thing. If you work in there, you got to let them know, okay, look, I have somebody that I know that's in there now. I have to report it. So I reported, so they knew, because they didn't, if he were to come where I was, I couldn't be there, or he couldn't come there, whatever it may be. So, but yes, it was difficult. I just surrounded myself with, because working in that facility, I went through a lot, because I wasn't your typical corrections officer. And I think it had a lot to do with my son being incarcerated too, because I wasn't that one that was authoritative. I just was doing stuff to, crap, just to be there because I want the money. I treated them with respect, because I feel like one thing I learned is, I don't care where you at in this world. You could be in a jail, the prison, wherever. If you treat them with respect, you most likely gonna get respect, because all the ones that got assaulted, the people that were correctional officers, were the ones who took advantage of their job. So they respected me because I respected them. There was even some youngers in there to call me auntie and stuff like that, because I'm like, and people didn't come around me that they were going to disrespect them, because they knew I was going to be like, wait, hold on. You can't be doing that. So I definitely didn't have friends there, but
so they was like, don't beat them up around her. She gonna tell.
Absolutely.
That'd be right.
So yeah, I wasn't the typical one there, but I just feel like God put me there for a reason, because now that when I look back all the time, I'm happy I was there to be able to give them a someone to look at, like a role model, because they didn't get a lot of that in there, So I'm happy that God allowed, put me there and allowed me to be able to do that for them. Because especially as a woman working there, it's hard. You already got men thinking that you can't do this and you can't do that. So you have to prove yourself and all that stuff. But yeah, that the part that you were talking about, it was very hard. Some days I could leave out there crying. Can't wait to get to my car, and because my whole thing was, how's my son doing? I have to go check on him, or see if I'm gonna get a phone call or whatever it may be. So I leave sometimes, get in my car and just start crying, because I was on both sides. And I know I think it was like one or two people. There was other people too I had heard that was also had a son in there, and they were also working. And so that's common. You have people in there that have sons and nephews and whatever.
Yeah, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it, because I be that got my ass beat, I got shanked or something, because you know what happened? I'll be feeling sorry for them, think about what my son going through, and they'll be like, yeah, she the nice one. We gonna get her ass. Now I'm talking about the prisons, not necessarily the county jails, but I feel like I would get got, because it would make me vulnerable. So one, I think that I would have too much sympathy for the people I'm locking up on the other side. because
Mm-hmm.
I've been in a cell myself too. So I'm gonna think about me being there. I'm gonna think about my son. I'm gonna think about my brother. But I know that you have to find a balance in an environment like that. You don't want to be too overly friendly or caring, not that you want to be, abusive, but you don't want to act like you're their friends or show any care, because there are inmates in there that look to want to take advantage of the corrections officer that seems to be the good person, because they feel like they're vulnerable and they can get you if there's, because in prisons they have riots, they have all kind of stuff that happens that they don't talk about in the news because it's behind the wall, so they won't tell us about it. But those things do happen, and I was like, I'm gonna be too vulnerable. I'm not gonna stand my ground enough. I might be lenient when I shouldn't, and I'm gonna make myself a target. So yeah, I couldn't.
Yeah, I know. I understand what you're saying, but no, I wasn't that nice person. I was a person that was nice, but I will hold
and
you
that's because you ain't
accountable.
never been, you ain't never been in the cell. I'd be
Right, right.
Dang, I don't know if I could do this.
Oh yeah, I can
He
imagine.
feeling sad and shit. Like, get this man another blanket. They're like, if you shut the fuck up, you get him a blanket, you gonna start a riot. They gonna all want blankets, and we short 17 blankets. Shut up. But all I'm remembering is I was cold too, and I wanted the extra blankets. So I said, no, I better not do that.
Right. Yeah, you were in a different
Yeah, I would have been
position too.
vulnerable. So
Yeah. But yeah, but I just want to, shout out the parents out there. If this has happened to you and your son or your, whatever is locked up, don't ever try not to blame yourself too much. I mean, I'm not saying it for everybody, because there's some people that just don't give a damn. They don't pay attention to their kids and none of that. Yes, there's some of those, but I'm talking about the ones that like I was. I did everything right. I mean, besides bring another man in my life, while they were, that's one thing I wouldn't do again either if I could live it over again. But bring another man in my life that wasn't their dad, because my oldest son, now that he's older and we talk as an adult and all that, he always say, because I asked him, and he was like, yeah, I just felt like, because he was the oldest and there were two other ones, and I asked him, he was like, he said, yeah, Mom, I just was feeling rebellious, because there was another man that came in my life.
yeah, teenagers do that now, especially the boys.
Exactly.
Like, I was the man in this house. I'm thinking to myself, no, you not, boy. You the son in this house. Shut up.
Yeah, because he thought he was a little man of the house. I think he was 9 when we got together. And he said, I thought, since you left my dad, I was going to be the next man in your life.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, it's just a trip being having the experience of being on both sides as a mother with someone locked up, and then also working the correctional officers field. But yeah, I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna get off, but I've seen the ones you're talking about are too nice. I've seen one lady, little lady's about 5'2", little petite woman, she would come in and bring them everything they want and this and that, and let them run her and stuff and all that, because she thought that she could be friends with them, but they ended up setting her up and have somebody beat her up.
Yeah, but that's what they do. See, because
Mhm.
I also went to school for psychology, and the criminal mind is different. A person that is in prison, they never see a corrections officer as somebody they have sympathy or they care for. If you're too nice, they're like, we can get over on them. We can
Exactly.
get them if we need to. They're the ones that if we're gonna do some shit, we wait till they're on shift because we know we can take them over. We know we can control them. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, ain't no inmate sitting there like, oh, we love corrections
No,
officers.
no.
Tootie woo, we ain't gonna get her. You be in there with the wrong motherfuckers. They would, these women too, and you around men, you will get
Right.
sexually assaulted. There's some horrible stories that have happened to
Yes.
corrections officers in jail. And if you're in a prison, riots do happen. And in a riot, they will take officers hostage sometimes. And if you a
Mhm.
woman, they'll do a whole lot to that woman before they let her go. They've been in there locked up, they ain't getting out. Some people in
Mhm.
there, they ain't got no hope in going home for 20 years. They do not care if they catch another charge.
Absolutely.
And so I
Right.
said, no, I ain't gonna be the victim. And I just didn't want to walk into a place of, gloom and doom every day. But thank you for coming up and
You're
sharing your
welcome. Thank
perspectives.
you. I
Thank you.
appreciate it. Okay, you have a good rest of your evening or
You
night.
too.
Okay.
All right. Good night.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Yeah, I got one more person back here. I got Miss Watchman. Now don't drop the link no more. It was one person back there. He left. So I'm talking to Miss Watchman, and then after that, we're gonna call it a night because we are not turning in this till all night. We almost 2 hours in. We can get out of here in 2 hours. That'll be good. It's supposed to be a regular live. I do want to throw this out there before I bring up Miss Watchman, because this is something that I wanted. So let me ask the people in the chat, like, we have people in here that I heard somebody, I'm kind of looking at the chat, but also listening, said something about, I guess, a family member in jail. They are trying to help them and get through the stuff. There are other people that have family members in jail, and I keep being told to do this. So let me ask y'all, would y'all like to see a space where we can come together like once a month and have a conversation and support each other in that? I think that having families and loved ones that are locked up, and let me look up at the camera, having loved ones that are locked up, or even just people that have been locked up that are trying to transition into life. Like, it's hard to do that and have to do it alone. So I will throw this out there. And if that is something that you guys would do, I do have some stuff I need to already present to you guys. I'm not going to do it tonight, but before this week is over, I will be sending out some emails and doing some posts on here in the community section. But we do already have a group. Shout out to Chantel and all of the other sisters there. But I do have a group of sisters, and it's a father there too. So men, you're welcome as well. But we actually are meeting right now. We're meeting every Friday. We won't be meeting that much. We're probably twice a month. But they are parents of children and family members who have been murdered by the police. And so they didn't get big coverage. You don't see their names everywhere, but they're still living with that pain. And so we do come together. I do want to open that up. I haven't really told the public that we do this. And so I would like to open that up for other people. If you have a family member that has been slain by the police, that's what this will be for. You don't feel that you've gotten the justice you should, or if you have a family member, and when I say police, I mean corrections officers, or police officers. But these people are still fighting for justice. And if there's anything we can do to support each other, a lot of them throw events. That we do have some events that are coming up, and I do help with putting those together, helping to support those and things like that, and going there to be a part of it. But my audience, you guys have always been really great at helping us make noise. So if there's ever letters we need to write, people we need to call, if we need to get cases reopened, if we make enough noise, maybe eventually we'll get some attorneys that will come along and be willing to help us and do pro bono work. Like, they can be on the team. But we do have a group of people already we do that with. So I will be sharing that information for anybody else in those situations who feel like you by yourself. You can come and join us and we can put our heads together. Maybe you just want support in that. Or maybe you actually still want some justice and you want to know how we help you fight for that, right? So you're not alone in that. So I'll give that information, but I have so much going on that I know it will only be once a month, but we can definitely put together a group. I myself would like that. As y'all know, my son is still in prison. But we can get together and we can have a support group, you guys, where we are there to support each other for those of us that do have loved ones in prison. And even for those of you that may have gotten out of prison, maybe if you're struggling to re-enter into life, if you're not alone and you have a community, you never know who has a job, who can offer you something, who can give you some training, just whatever we might be able to help with. You just never know the resources. I have amazing people who are in my audience all the time that I'll be like, dang, you do what? And so we can always put it out there and make connections. But I would like to start a group if that's something you guys would want to do. And so we'll start off with once a month. Once the group grows to be big enough, I don't have a problem. If I can't be there to facilitate the meeting, I can definitely give the reins to somebody else in the group if you guys would like to meet more than once a month. But for me to facilitate it, I have to just say once a month right now, because that's probably all that I have to give in my busy schedule. But we can definitely do that. So I will set that up. I'll email everybody and I'll put it out there. And for some of you that are in the chat, if that is something that you would like to do, let's do that. Let's support each other. And we all are dealing with some of the same pains, and maybe we can also support each other's family members. I know that our family goes through things in the prisons, and there are times when they know you're not alone and they're doing something to your loved one that we can make some phone calls. We've done that a couple of times for people in jail, and they get 150, 200 phone calls in a day. The warden is getting phone calls. Guess what? They stop fucking with that person. So again, in all these situations, it's just good to not be alone and to have a community of people who understand what you're going through. And when you have an issue, you ain't got to figure it out yourself. You got a whole bunch of other people we can put our heads together. Even if we don't do shit, but come together and we cry with each other and we support one another. Whatever the fuck it is, it's nice to not have to go through shit alone. So I will put that together. Okay, you guys. And I'll let y'all know when we have the first meeting if that's something y'all will be interested in. So I'm gonna bring Miss Watchman up here, and don't nobody else click the link. This is it. This is all. Don't y'all come in the back. Hey, Miss Watchman, how you doing tonight?
Hello, I'm doing all right, and you, Michi.
I'm good. I'm good. I had a good day today. Today was good. I got my butt out the house. Stop being an old sit your butt in the house. I went to the movies. I enjoyed the movie. Have you seen Sinners yet?
No, I haven't.
Go see it.
Um,
You
I
enjoy
got a
it.
lot on. I got a lot on my plate right now. I'm actually getting ready to go to work, and I
Okay.
have a double amputee that I am responsible for caring for. So it will probably be a while before I get an opportunity to see it.
Well,
Um,
we'll bootleg it. I'm gonna send it to you. Don't tell nobody though. Shh.
the reason I wanted to come up on the panel and speak with you is
Mhm.
because what I want our people to understand is until we're able to get ourselves out of this system or abolish it, we need people who have the ability to maintain what some might call a stoic personality or attitude to infiltrate these systems. And what I mean by that, I use myself for example because I had a lot of people to call me stoic because they couldn't read me. And although like the previous young lady who was on the panel, she would cry in her car. I would go home and cry for those who were incarcerated where I worked at. They never saw my emotions on the job. You
Mhm.
know, so maintaining a stoic personality it means when you learn what policy is, no matter what happens, you stick to policy. And what I learned working at the prison was as long as you do your job consistently the same way every day. One thing you cannot do is act like you're going to be a friend to someone who's behind those bars.
Mhm.
My greatest problem was not the people who were incarcerated, it was those who supervised over me. And I was even threatened by a captain who told me, you got to remember, you're going to see these inmates again in the free world. Well, I've seen 13 of them. I was
Really?
only disappointed with one out of the 13. I was only disappointed with one. At that time, I was still in the church and I was with the prison ministry. And I saw Miss Beal. I never referred to them as inmates. I always gave them respect.
Mhm.
And despite the fact that I gave them respect, I never swayed away from policy. You understand what I'm saying? I had a lifer to actually threaten me. I was not afraid, but policy says if you receive a threat, you report it.
Mhm.
So I did that. But with Miss Bill, when I saw her, she was in she wasn't in prison, but she was in jail. And I asked her, I said, what are you doing here? And she said, oh, you know, I'm gonna boost me some clothes because I like to look good and I like for my children to look good, but I'm gonna keep it up. I'm gonna keep it under 500 because of you. I ain't never going back to prison again. You know, and I was disappointed because everybody else that I met, they got out of prison. When they saw me, they were apprehensive with approaching with me, but when they first saw me, this big smile and glow came across their face and they're screaming out my name. And one of them asked me, she said, is it all right for me to hug you? I said, listen, I am not working at the prison anymore. We are not at the prison. There were many days I went home and cried about you all. And they've all hugged me. Not one has ever attempted to do me harm when I saw them out here in the free world. And those 12 women who changed their lives and told me they'd never go back to prison again because I was consistent every day. They told me if there were more officers in the prison who did the job the way that I did it, it wouldn't be a revolving door. I also learned as a correctional officer, the reason that officers actually get attacked is because today it's all right for me to touch you and play with you and tap on you and hug you. But when you get upset for whatever reason and I touch you, it's a charge. You know, when you're consistent every day, they know what they have to deal with and what they're going to be encountering when this officer walks into the prison. But for those who say it's okay to touch me today and I'm going to charge you for it tomorrow, there's no consistency and they don't know how to be with that officer. They don't know how to approach them.
Can
I
I ask you?
actually got sick working at the prison, and the inmates were able to look at me and see that I was sick. And I was going up a flight of stairs, and they actually caught me and helped me and pushed my panic button on my radio. I passed out. And they told me when I came to, had it been another officer, they would have beat them. But
Yeah,
because of the way
you said they would have beat them. That's what I wanted to ask you.
yeah,
In there, have you ever seen where corrections officers overstepped they bound and abused and misused inmates, took their privileges away just because they could, beat them up because they could, wrote them up, sent them to the hole just because they could?
Michi, the type of officer I was, people tried not to let me see them do anything wrong, because your logbook is documentation. It is legal documentation at all times. And I'm going to share this with you all. I had a captain to tell me to count some ladies as if they were with me, and he was taking them off my unit. And I refused to do it. That violates policy. You understand what I'm saying? Everything he was saying to me while he was talking, I'm writing it in the logbook. And if I forgot something he said, I asked him if he could repeat himself. Everything was in the logbook.
Well, was
Okay.
it any incidents though? Even if you didn't see him, you come into work and be like, yeah, such and such, or this what happened. You never heard about nothing like that.
Well,
You was in there with women though. I think women's facilities is a little different.
It's only slightly different. Matter of fact, some of the officers that I work with, they said working with the women was worse than working with the men. But the thing I'm trying to get around to is, when I left the prison, a lot of people went to jail. They went to prison themselves. Men lost their homes. They lost their cars. They lost their wives. They lost their freedoms. Some even took their own lives because of the way that I documented things. I had a CO who came onto my unit when he wasn't supposed to be there. All my gates were supposed to be closed. And I'm doing my rounds and I'm seeing him coming out of one of the cells, right? First off, what are you doing on my unit? Second, why are you coming out of a cell on my unit? And I don't know you're here. He's gone on a back channel and got somebody to open the gate and allow himself in. And the keys for one unit work on all units. And I'm looking at him and his belt is undone. His pants are unzipped. His shirt is outside of his pants. I'm documenting all this shit.
Mm-hmm.
I don't give a damn how you feel about it. And excuse my French.
No, I hear about that a lot in the women's prisons. I don't know if you heard that one story about the prison. I don't remember where it was. And the women were coming up pregnant. The warden knew that these corrections officers were getting these women pregnant, and he was forcing them to have abortions, because how you end up pregnant, you got a 15-year sentence and you've been here for 7 years and now you're pregnant. So the warden was forcing them to get abortions to cover it up, knew that this was happening. And these women said some of it was consensual, and it's against the law whether they say it's consensual or not. You cannot have but some of the women said that those officers were actually withholding their food and privileges to make them do sexual things for them. That happens in women's prisons.
I was telling you about the captain with the count, because what I ended up finding out, the warden knew nothing about it, but because of the way that I documented things and my logbook started coming up missing, the warden was like, wherever that logbook is, I give you until the end of the week for it to show back up, or heads are gonna roll. Because of my documentation, what ended up happening was they discovered that they had taken 2 or 3 bus loads with over 40 women each out of there, and they in the middle of the night trying to force them to have abortions. All of them had abortions except one. and she had been locked up for over 5 years. You've been in prison for over 5 years. How are you pregnant? And now you got to be transferred to special needs. You see what I'm saying? Because of the way I did my job, I brought justice to these women and prevented these officers from being able to continue to violate them in the future.
Wow.
You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So that's why I say we need more of our people to infiltrate these systems and have a stoic behavior or attitude towards your job while you are on that job. When you get home, you know, you release it and leave it at the door. And what a lot of people don't realize is when you work in the prison, until you're able to go home, you are incarcerated yourself.
Yeah.
I was doing 16 hours a day, 7 days a week. They were trying to break me. So they put me on the mandatory overtime list every day until the warden found out what was going on. You know, and they were upset because I wouldn't break. And when I first got there, all of the people who were incarcerated, they were like, "Oh, you around here trying to act like you the real police. You ain't the real police. The rest of them came in here just like that. I give you 6 weeks. 6 weeks passed by, I'm still the same. 3 months passed by. And when we made it to the 6th month, they was like, you ain't changed yet. You are the real police." So, you know, when I would enter the prison, you could hear them yelling down the corridors. The real police is here. The real police is here. They were telling the other people who were incarcerated, whatever you're doing, straighten it up, because you know she ain't going for that. And they knew not to touch me because my job said, I can't touch you unless it's in the performance of my duty. And you can't touch me, period. And a lot of times I would be hugging them mentally because they've lost family members, they've lost children, you know, and things like that. And they can't even go out to the funerals and things of that nature.
I think that's
and I'm fine on the inside, but they don't know this because of my expression. You understand what I'm saying? So,
but that's part of the mental that I was talking about as well, whether it's men or whether it's the women's prison, things like that, to find out you've been in prison all this time, so you're being kept away from your family. If you're in a space where your family's not in the same state or something, because everybody's not always locked up where their mama is right up the street in the same city and she can come visit you. My son's not, you know. And then to find out a person like that passed away and you can't leave, you can't go to the funeral, and you in jail, and you got to grieve in prison through that. You can't say goodbyes or nothing. Like that mentally wear on people, for people to act like that, for people to act like, oh, that ain't a big deal. Yes, it is. That is.
Know that if you're working in that environment and you really care about people the way that I do, it's going to affect you as well. Mm-hmm. You know, so, but you've got to know how to leave it at the door. Mine would go home with me until I could get my cry out, because I'm one of those people. I don't like for people to see me cry. So I'm not going to be driving down the street crying. If I do, I'm in real bad shape at that time. You know what I'm saying? So I would wait until I got home. I'd go into my bathroom, and while I'm taking my bath, I'm crying and getting all of this off of me, because at that time I had a small child and I didn't want him to feel any of those emotions. So I had to get them out so that I could go and deal with my child, because when you're going through things and you touch your children, they feel it as well. My heart goes out to Messiah's family, friends, and loved ones. And I feel like somebody in that prison already knew what was going on, and they should have protected that young man. It sounds like something that was planned. It sounds like these officers had been doing this continuously. It wasn't their first time doing it. They've done it before. There's no telling how many times that they've done it for them to be that comfortable going into that cell and assaulting that young man. And then they
are being charged with covering it up. They
attempted to clean up.
They cleaned up the crime scene. They mopped up all the blood in the cell and everything.
You see what I'm saying? This is something. It's not something that's new for them.
Purposely turned off their cameras. all of that. So this is what I'm saying. This, okay, like the Robert Brooks thing, it took a moment, and because the camera footage came out and they didn't know that it was gonna be on there, then they exposed it. This one, they ain't showing us no footage. They just said we not even fucking with y'all. It's so heinous. We just charging y'all. Y'all going to jail. You all getting fired. We not even gonna play this game. The very first time we heard about this case was the officers being arrested, and this happened March 1st. So they did not take long.
My birthday.
This happened March 1st, the day that he died. And so here we are, April 22nd, but they probably went, the news reported it like a week ago. So they were not playing in this case. This did not take months. Whoever found out, there was somebody like you in there, Miss Watching, but somebody found out what happened, and within the prison, they was like, hell to the no. Somebody in there was like, y'all going to jail. And so, from with the inside, they have dealt with this, and the officers didn't really, they thought they covered it up, but obviously the right person was there to see it. So they're not playing games. There are 2 of them that are being charged. It's 10 altogether. 10. Robert Brooks, it was 9 of them. But in this case, 2 of them have already been charged with second-degree murder. You didn't plan it, but once you start doing what you did, you intended to kill him by your actions. That's what that means. And then there's like 4 or 5 of them being charged with manslaughter because they was acting recklessly and carelessly, didn't stop the situation. And then the other ones are being charged for covering it up, for the things they did and cleaning up and trying to cover it. So they all taking charges. But yeah, this just happened and they've been on it really quickly. But you're right. That's what I said. When you look at it, this is not the first time they've done this. I feel like
it sounds planned to me. It sounds like it was pre-planned.
They've done this before. They was too comfortable in doing it, and then all of their steps, somebody that ain't part of their routine caught on to what they did. That's the problem, you know.
And I feel like the young man who talked to the news media needs to be transferred from that prison and protected.
That's why I said, you know what? They not even finna play games. What they did to this boy was so heinous, because when have you ever seen a correctional facility let an inmate get on the phone and talk to the news? I ain't never seen that, Miss Watchman. That's how you know that what they did is so heinous. The prison is trying to separate themselves because they had to okay that phone call.
But I feel like he needs to be transferred and he needs to be protected.
Yeah. Well, you think
I don't know if they changed things to that degree or not yet, Michi, because when I was working at the prison and they would go to use the phone, we had no idea whose number they were dialing. And they also have that thing whereas you can call one person and they can call somebody else while you're on the phone and you can talk to them. You see what I'm saying? So there's a lot of that.
The news said we were able to talk to an inmate. So I guess my question is, they had to somehow get this inmate's information who was a witness. I don't know if that was his.
There's a possibility that somebody who knows the incarcerated individual,
they may have called them.
They may have called them, and that person called the news reporter. That's a possibility. And I believe that young man needs to be transferred. Not just, I know it would be hard on that person and their family if they're from New York and all of their people are from New York. But I feel as if that individual not only needs to be transferred from that prison, because this seems to be a regular occurrence in New York prisons.
It's 2 different prisons, but that's what they're looking at. They're saying that the culture
needs to be transferred to a totally different state.
Another aspect that the news did not bring up, I don't know if you guys remember it because it pissed me off. I brought it up, but it was like maybe a month, 2 months ago, maybe. But there was, I don't know if you guys saw that there was this prison. The guards were striking, and they said that they weren't going to work because they felt that they were overworked. They were upset about the fact that, check this out, Ms. Watchman, they was mad because they said there were limitations on the time they could put people in solitary confinement. So they were upset that they couldn't keep them in there longer. How inhumane is that? They just want to throw them away. They said we don't got enough staff, that the inmates are not listening to us. Our lives
lose their freaking minds in solitary confinement.
But what was happening in the prisons is that the corrections officers that were there, because somebody came forward and said this too, because they are shorter staffed, and that they claim that's part of the reason, but that ain't the only reason, because they could be fully staffed and this shit still happen. But what's happened is they're mistreating the inmates. They're not giving them their time out their cells. They're not feeding them like they should. They're not giving them their phone calls. They're not giving
I
them their
witnessed some of that.
because they're saying they don't have the staff.
That right there, not allowing them out of their cells, not giving them their time on the yard. I witnessed some of that.
Right,
so,
but they're causing the frustration between them and the
correct.
Inmates. And now they're saying the inmates are antagonizing them, and that they're acting out and doing stuff. So now they're saying we want to also be able to punish them in solitary confinement and not have a limit. You just want to throw them in there and lock away the keys. So this is what they were striking for. So to go to say with this new guy's case,
you need to get a new job.
They said that when these officers did what they did to him, it was during a 22-day when officers were on strike and they had to call in the National Guard. But these guys were not National Guard; they were corrections officers. But it was during a strike by the prison. They put that in the newspaper article, but they didn't state it on the news.
If they feel that way, they should get a new job.
All over New York. So
if you treat people like they're human, number one, because when you work corrections, your job is not to punish an individual for the crime that they've been convicted of, because we all know that not everybody who goes to prison is actually guilty of what they've been convicted of. We know that there are a lot of people who are railroaded into confessions because they don't know anything about the law. And they'll lie to them and tell them they have evidence that they don't have. You know, anytime they're constantly telling you they have evidence and they're not showing you the evidence, they don't have anything. They just want you to plead guilty so they can put you behind the wall.
Well, you know what though? People will say this, and it's funny to me when people say this, and I get how an average person might make this comment, but they'll say, well, who would confess to something they didn't do? But what I learned in my time of being educated in psychology and criminal justice in the 4 years in college I did, we actually talked about it, not only in criminal justice, but also in psychology, about how a person can actually admit to something they didn't do. And it has a lot to do with keeping them in the room where it's cold, not feeding them, depriving them of sleep. And then they go in there and they feed them this evidence. They'll show them pictures. They'll tell them what happened at the crime. Instead of letting them tell them, then they'd be like, well, you just tell us what you got to say. And, you know, and we understand if you did this or you did that. And then sometimes people would just say, okay. And I know the average person is like, that don't make no sense. I'm not admitting to a murder I didn't do. But the truth is, I remember being in school when they showed us videos of plenty of cases like that, when we learned in psychology the aspect of planting false memories in people's heads, convincing people they've done stuff, and all the tactics that they do. It really happens. And I'll never forget when I learned that, I was like, that shit is crazy. But people do make false confessions to stuff they did not do all the time, and the police makes them write it up just like that. They just be wanting to pin the case on somebody. So I know people are going to be like, that's full of shit.
Just want to convict you. And there's a lot going on behind the scenes that we don't know about, Michi. I'll give you an example. I had a shooting incident. Out of all the time I've been in this field, I've only had one shooting incident. And I've been doing this since 91. Okay. And I was put in a position whereas it was shoot or die. So although they'd spoken with all of the witnesses and they knew that I had not murdered someone, it was self-defense. They kept me downtown for over 48 hours. The entire time I was there, I'm in an investigation room. They're somewhere sitting and watching you. And when you start to feel fatigued and you begin to start to drift off, they come back in and they wake you up. When you're fatigued, you can't think clearly. The average person can't think clearly when they're fatigued, and they're constantly grilling me as if they're trying to get me to confess to just cold-bloodedly killing this man. They had the weapon. They had the because after he collapsed, I ran over because after I shot him, he ran. So after he collapsed, I ran over to apply pressure and stop the bleeding, but he still had the weapon in his hand. And I kicked it out of his hand because I saw it was in his hand, but he wasn't able to lift it, although he was trying. And I didn't want him to die. You understand what I'm saying? So I kicked the weapon out of his hand. They kept me down there for over 48 hours. They're constantly coming in, grilling me. I have
48
no food.
hours
I have
is
nothing
a
to drink.
very long
They're
time
trying to
to
get
be
me to
awake.
confess to doing something I didn't do because this is an easy conviction when you get a person to confess.
But see, look, having you there for, especially in a situation like that, having you there for 48 hours, you are sleep deprived. Then they start
Yes,
telling you that they have evidence they don't have. And then it gets blurry to you. Your mind can't recount. You're like, well, did I remember it wrong? Well, maybe I
they
did
play
do this first and
psychological
then I
games
did do
on
that.
you.
And then you start maybe agreeing with him. And then you got doubting what your story is. Like 48 hours is a long time to be sleep deprived. And you would be amazed
It
at what
causes
happens to a sleep
disorientation
deprived
in your
mind.
mind.
It does a lot to your mind when you are sleep deprived. I want to say too, real quick. Let me say, shout out to Jackie. Thank you, Jackie. I just saw Jackie sent a cash app a while back and I missed it. So if she's still in the chat, thank you very much, Jackie.
It does psychological damage to your mind. So you can't say that we can't say that everybody who's incarcerated is guilty of the crimes that they've been accused of or even confessed to, because we don't know what type of psychological torture they went through in order for those people to get those confessions.
I
So
want to
some
say
people
this,
just
though.
feel like, I just want you to stop. Let me sleep.
But I want to say this too, that for everybody that's in there, I also like to make this statement as well, because there are a lot of people that are in prison that did do the crime they're charged with. But I
True.
also think that our criminal justice system gives people far too harsh sentences for the crimes they've committed. Everybody doesn't commit a violent crime. Everybody shouldn't be subjected to that environment. And yeah, they may have committed the crime you're charging them with, but the time you gave them was way extreme and not necessary for what you're putting them in for. Like, for example, the man who y'all remember the man we was talking about him, he hopped over. Remember, he was telling the judge that he had schizophrenic issues and he trying to get a hold of his mental health. And he's like, Your Honor, I think I'm gonna be cool. And then the judge told him some shit he didn't like, and she told him she was gonna give him some time. He got mad and jumped over the bench. Now she
I
fell,
remember that.
hit her head on the wall. The security person, the court officer, he had a gash and had to get some stitches. Now he did assault them, but ultimately this man do need some time for what he did, but he needed help for his mental illness. And this bitch said that he was being charged with attempted murder, and they gave this man like 25 years. So that's one of them cases where I say, yeah, he was guilty of of committing a crime, but that was way overcharging. He did not deserve 25 years. That judge just did that shit because she could. When this man
And she had all the evidence that said he needed help.
He should have been committed to a mental facility. And then for what he did to her, then when he got out of the mental facility and they said he's doing better, then he could have went and served the sentence that she gave him, which was like 2 years for whatever he was in there for. But to give a man 25 years and charge him with attempted murder because he knocked your ass out of chair, ma'am, stop it. He didn't have no weapon.
At that point, it was personal. At that point, it became personal for the judge.
That's unjust. She shouldn't be able to abuse her power.
And
so
I don't feel like she should have had the ability to sentence him for what he did to her. That should have been another judge's. That should have been another judge's call. She should have recused herself.
So there's a lot of people who have committed the crime that they've been charged with, but the punishment does not fit the crime. Okay. America is one of the countries who lock their people up for far too long for shit that they lock them up for. And it's really not.
The only time I feel like the sentence is justified is, how you have people who go and they commit a crime. I'm going to deal with my city right now. Someone kills someone. They go to jail. They get bond. They get bailed out. While they're out on bail, they kill somebody else. They go back to jail. They get another bond that they shouldn't have gotten because they were out on bond for murder in the first place. And they give them bond. They get out. and they try to kill somebody else and that person doesn't die, and then you take them back into the system and you still give them another bond. Why are you constantly bonding, allowing this person to be bond out, and they're killing people and trying to kill people, and you've got the evidence that they actually kill someone? When they get extensive sentences, I think those sentences are justified. But a lot of times you got people who are accused of crimes. Like, we got a lot of people from Memphis who are locked up from back in the day for selling marijuana, and they got life sentences. The 3 strikes and you're out. We got a lot of people who have life sentences because they stole a candy bar. These people should still be behind bars.
When I was 19 and I was in jail with a girl. We was in the county together. She was 21 years old. She got caught with a pound of weed that she was holding for her boyfriend. And she was facing 25 years for that pound of weed. 25 years, her life was over for a pound of weed.
And that's what I'm saying. And now they're out here becoming billionaires with it.
Yeah. So I agree. I agree that I think that the sentencing is ridiculous. Again, sentencing is arbitrary. What that means is somebody was just back there like, oh, let's just give a nigga 15 years if he robs somebody. Let's give somebody 25 for this. Let's give him 30 for that.
The day that we see that give these correctional officers,
there's not any rhyme or reason to why they give it. And I think that if they took more time to look at psychological effects, and if you really wanted to rehabilitate somebody, you would have a rhyme or reason. Sentencing wouldn't be arbitrary. It would be purposeful. But the fact that it doesn't, I feel like the system not broke. It worked exactly how it's supposed to. They want to lock you up for a long time because prison is the new plantation. And they want to make sure when you get there, they're able to use your free labor or use your body, because people don't seem to understand that either, right? So who do you think tax dollars pay for the bodies in the prisons? Okay, so that just gives an excuse for them to take your tax dollars, and they have to pay a certain amount for every day that inmate is held. But then the prison does not spend what they get every day to take care of that inmate. They spend the bare minimum, and then they have that extra money that they're pocketing. So whether they're getting paid off your body or whether they're getting paid off your free labor, it is about making it the new plantation. And if you put a person in there long enough, they become institutionalized. And when you do stuff like we talk about Draco in the chat, that they done served their time, but it's been 17 years and they still cannot get their record expunged. They cannot get a place to live because of that felony. What most of the time happens, unlike Draco, who still has found a way with all of that obstacle against them to make it in society, most of them, guess what they do? They come right back to the plantation by committing crime, because that's the only way they know how to live. And some people are so institutionalized. How many of y'all know that if you keep a motherfucker long enough, do you know there are cases where people will get out of jail and say, you've kept me in here so long, all my support system is gone. My mama died, my daddy died, my cousins died, my baby mama gone, my kids don't know me. I don't have anybody to go to. So you kick me out of prison to be homeless. So you know what they do? There are cases where people will literally go and commit a crime and sit on the curb and wait on the police because they just want to go back.
Or they'll take their lives.
They don't know what else to do with them lives. And that's not as rare as you guys think it is. A lot of people do that on purpose just to go back to jail because there's nothing left for them.
And you have some people who are so institutionalized, they know they don't have a place that they can go and lay their heads. So during the summer months, they'll be out here and they'll be in the streets and they'll be hustling and they'll be making illegal money and they'll live in hotels when they can. And other than that, they're out on the streets. And then when it starts to get cold, they say, well, it's time to go get 3 hots in a cot.
Yeah. So,
you know, and when they say that, you know, they're on their way back.
It's something we definitely got to look at and deal with, y'all. I'll say this, and I'm gonna get ready to go, Ms. Watchman. I can give you the last 5 minutes, and then I'm gonna close out. But we going on 2.5 hours, so I'm gonna get out of here. And
well, I'm not gonna take 5 minutes. I'm going to say to our brothers and our sisters out here, have more compassion for your own people. You never know what a person has gone through and what has brought them to the state that they are in. I am someone, once you all get an opportunity to hear my story, I think I'm going to try to start doing these uploads because I don't have enough subscribers to go live. Once you hear my story and you find out why I am the way that I am, maybe then you will understand that when you see people, whatever hostility is in them, the way that you respond to them can either break that hostility and humble them, whereas you can see the true them, or your response can cause their hostility to go to a higher level. You know, we just got to love on us more. And just because you haven't gone through anything, it doesn't mean that the people that you encounter during the day have not. I love to smile because when you see a person and you smile, you never know what that smile did for their day. So instead of being angry and bitter all the time and assuming things, greet somebody with a smile and change their day.
Well, thank you, Miss Watchman. Thank you for coming up here and
Thank you for
sharing.
having me. Have a good one.
You too. I see you on the next panel you come up. I'm sure I see you again.
All right.
All right. Good night, sister. Let me see. Okay, first of all, I can't see over here. Will, don't be kicking people off. So let me say that first. Because somebody says, is you abusing your rich today, Will? And then Will said, I am now. Bye. I don't know if that means you block them. Don't be blocking people. Let me tell y'all something. I just want to say this. You are not allowed to use your wrench for your own personal feelings. Look, these are my supporters and people over here. So I just want to say that to everybody because I know that happened once before. I don't know who it was, but I'm going to just say it since I read it now. I don't think that you blocked him because I can still see his comment. But if a person is not doing something to me and I'm asking you to block them or they're not doing something to get blocked for, if y'all are disagreeing in the chat just because, you know, you guys have a wrench, don't block people just because they have bothered you. That happened like a month ago. And one of y'all blocked somebody who has been a follower of mine for a very long time. They've been in a lot of my classes. They have come to my support groups. Like, I know this person. And for y'all to have blocked them because y'all was arguing because y'all felt some type of way, it was kind of rude because this person wasn't somebody had a problem with me. And the point of being a moderator on my page is for y'all to moderate things for me, not to offend people who have been great supporters of me for a long time. So I'm not saying that's the case, but since I could see that in the chat now, I just wanted to bring it up because when it happened last time, I didn't. They emailed me. I had to go find them and unblock them and all of that good stuff. And I don't want to be going through that. And I don't want to offend people who are my supporters. So again, let's make sure if we're, and then, and don't really block people, you know, time them out, give them 86,000 minutes. So you just say, I know y'all can come back in 24 hours. But even that, don't y'all be, you know what I'm saying, abusing that authority. Don't be acting like these correction officers and abusing y'all authority. You better be righteous with the rich. I wanted to say something. Carlos Jones, what are you talking about? Carlos said, open your door to your men. Carlos, won't nobody come let you live with them? Why are you saying this? And then you said, like y'all do white men. Sir, we don't know what you're talking about. What white men do we open our door for? I don't know what you're talking about. What is you talking about? Is that a personal issue? I'm not sure what you're talking about. Did somebody not let you come and live with you? Because, and they didn't let you come live there, but they got a white man that live there? I'm confused. I just want to know, like, did you get put out for a white man, Carlos? Oh, say it ain't true. I mean, you can't come live with me, Carlos. I don't know you, but you said yes. Yes, what? Yes, somebody did that to you. Well, that ain't all of us, Carlos. You got to tell them. You got to call them and be like, why? You know, you don't get loud with all the say. You're supposed to be like, bitch, but no, don't do that. Because if you've been in jail, you might go back to jail. This might be somebody you know that you ain't supposed to be talking to. You might already cussed her out. But you got to ask her why she kicked you out for the white man. Ain't no white man living in my house. I ain't opening the door for no white man. So I don't know what that's about. We're not doing that. You know, that's something that happened to you, but I don't think y'all sisters opening y'all door for white men and kicking black men out. I don't think so. I don't think we is over here. All right, y'all. I just want to say, I guess in my last, thank you, Jackie. I just want to say, in my, I didn't mean to click your stuff weird with your petty self tonight. Don't be petty. Only two of us can be petty at the same time. It's too much pettiness. Okay, we can't both be petty at the same time. I just want to say though that I like Miss Watchman said, we do have to have more compassion towards our people. I just find it interesting, like the person at the beginning of this live said was like, oh, no, you don't want to do no time, then don't commit no crime. Like at the end of the day, stop that shit and let's stop glorifying prison. People go in prison and they can come out of prison, and of course they're still alive and they made it home. But that doesn't mean that their life has not been completely altered, like forever. It doesn't mean that there are not mental things that they've had to deal with that without therapy they don't get over. And that's one thing we don't tend to think our community needs is therapy. Who the fuck is getting therapy? Hardly nobody, right? And so don't think that they go to prison, that they deal with all of those things and that it doesn't weigh on their mental. They need therapy when they come home. They need a support system when they come home. They need a whole lot of stuff that they didn't need before they went in. So we should never glorify that shit. And I'm going to say for anybody who want to bring their ass in my comment section talking about, she just mad. Why you talking negative on Carmelo case? We just wishing the best for him. You keep wishing. You motherfucking keep wishing. What I'm going to do is deal with the facts of what we deal with in this country every day. I'm going to deal with the facts of all of the mothers that I hear crying about the stuff that they've gone through. We're going to deal with the facts of the people who email me over the years because of situations happening with their people in prison. We're going to deal with the facts of all the news stories that come out. We're going to deal with the facts of what prison really does to our children. This is why we talk about the school to prison pipeline. We're going to talk about the facts, because fucking wishing shit away and just being positive when there's not anything to be positive about, God damn it, is how y'all avoid facing something. And I will say one thing about the movie Sinners. I'm going to bring it in at this point, right? I won't spoil it for you because some of y'all might not catch the meaning. It might go over your head. You might get it because I said it now when you watch the movie. But I want y'all to understand something. In this movie, what I got from it and overall, and you may not get this by just watching it, but this is what I got. Your ass gotta stop taking what the white savior gave to you, that hope and that wishing and that dreaming, and that just give it to the white savior and you'll have eternal life. We can fix all your problems when it comes to oppression if you just give the white savior your life. He will give you eternal life. He will help you be free from the oppressor. That's a fucking lie. That's a lie. All of this is gonna be fine. We just gonna pray a little longer. We gonna act like it ain't happened. No, I need you to face the truth of what's happening to us. And then I need you to fucking get up and fight. I don't need you to give this problem to a white savior any longer. I don't need you to fucking pray about it. I don't need you to talk positive about it because none of that shit will fucking change it. I just need you to get up and handle the oppression your motherfucking self. It's called Fight Back. Now, I didn't tell you about the movie, but I told you everything about the movie. You ain't gonna see it until you watch it. And at the end, if you go see it after I said this, you're gonna say, God damn, I see what Michi talking about. Because I think the meaning of the real movie is gonna go over a lot of y'all head. It was very entertaining, but it was very deep than a motherfucker at the same time. So quick to think the white savior gonna save you. Y'all get that? Let's just be positive shit from that Bible. Put that motherfucker down. It's destroying your ass. It's not giving you life here, and it damn sure ain't giving you life in the hereafter. Okay? So stop it. Because I think that's where that fucking commentary comes from. Let's just be positive. No, nigga. If Carmelo go to prison, it's going to be a sad motherfucking day. And he's going to be another black kid thrown away to the system like so many of our other children. I know. You need to find a silver lining in that. Bitch, I'm here to tell you it ain't no silver lining in any of it. Okay? So stop lying to yourself, your community, and your children. Because that's why you don't get up and do nothing about it. Because you keep telling yourself it's going to be okay. It's not okay. And it's never going to be okay until we fucking face the music and do something about it. Lying to yourself is not accountability. So let's stop lying to ourselves. Carmelo will be fine. No, he won't. Not if he goes to prison. Keep telling that fucking lie if you want to. I'm not. And if that offends you, then I guess you should maybe not watch any more videos that I do about Carmelo, because I'm never going to speak any positivity in the fact if this boy goes to prison and get a long sentence. I think it'll be a sad fucking thing. And instead of destroying his family, somebody should probably go stand with his mama and daddy, because if they think they hurt now, baby, that day of sentencing gonna crush you like you never thought it could. I know personally. With that said, I want y'all to have a good night. I want to thank all of y'all for the super chats that y'all gave tonight. Shout out to the new channel member that joined the channel. Thank you for getting you a membership. Shout out to everybody on MX Network that came over here and supported on our network. If you guys, before you leave, if you have not hit the like button, please hit the like button. Share this video so that other people can know about this case. Like I said, I think this case has been overshadowed by Carmelo's situation. Nobody's talking about all the stuff that is going on right now, but somebody lost the life of their child too. This boy's dead and he didn't deserve to be dead. This is why they're going to jail, right? So I want to hear about, well, he was a criminal. He deserved to die. That's some ignorant shit for you to say. So I know somebody came in the chat earlier and was like, is this a new case or the Robert one? No, it's a new case. This is a new case. And mark my words, there'll be another one. But just like the police on the outside, we say their name for a month and then we forget about them and we wait for the next one. And there will be a next one. I promise you it will be. All right, y'all. With that said, y'all have a good night. I'll be back tomorrow and we'll talk about prisons that are stealing the organs of its inmates. So then the question is, are they also killing them to get those organs? Because they're definitely stealing organs. There's a whole judge that has ordered an investigation because of it. So not conspiracy theory, truth and fact. I guess we should wake up to the truth we try and hide from every day. That shit is real. Until next time, y'all have a good night. Like the video, share the video, subscribe if you have not. And if you don't want to watch these commercials, go to the description of the video on YouTube. And in that box, you can also click the link and get your free subscription to MX Network, where you can watch all of these lives while they are live. Okay? I'll see y'all tomorrow. Y'all have a good night.